We are live at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, not just the home of the Ticats, also the home of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, which grew by 7 new members last night. Today, the annual Hall of Fame game between the Cats and BC Lions. It's coming up on the CFL on TSN.
You know what time it is. Yeah, TSN, Saturday Night Football. Woo! 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
And Evans to the corner. Catch is made. Touchdown. Riley. Oh, yes, touchdown. Hang on to your seats, everybody. There's a fake reverse, and look out. Ryan Lakeford. Is he going to do it again? Gone. Look out. Brandon Banks does some weaving. Now has the sideline. Brandon Banks. Forget about it.
And Simone Lawrence, he is back. He's the emotional team and defensive leader for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. You know what, guys? He's back at the right time because they need this injection of emotion and energy and leadership.
I love this kid from Sanger, Texas. Dane Evans got the reins to the car right now. This guy's got all the parts, fellas. Just needs some help around him to figure out just a few more reps and he'll be fine.
Mike Riley has thrown 60 touchdown passes over the last 2 years. This year, he only has 6. The big reason, he has no protection. We're over the bye week. These BC Lions went out and made some changes to that offensive line. Let's see if they can protect him tonight.
I mentioned it's Hall of Fame weekend. Last night, the inductions took place. 7 new members, including John Cornish, Swervin Mervyn Fernandez, Terry Greer, Frank Smith, Jim Hobson, the late Ernie Pitts, and a guy by the name of David Williams, who joins us on set right now as we say hello and welcome you to the CFL on TSN, live from Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. I'm Rod Smith, surrounded by football greatness here. Hall of Famers Milt Stegall, Matt Dunnigan, future Hall of Famer Henry Burris. I'm sure that day's going to come. And David Williams, one of the 7 new members of the Hall of Fame, part of the class of 2019. And thank you for joining us now. First of all, before I send you over to your old quarterback, Matt Dunnigan, just tell me what that honor was like last night, what it means to be back here in Canada and to be so honored.
I'm excited. I was humbled by the award last night, and it was something I was hoping that would come my way. It seemed like it took forever, but I'm honored to be here now.
Now, for those who don't remember, I certainly do. You were a star receiver in this league from 1988 to 95, and the only one ever, I believe, who was the most outstanding player in the league in your rookie year in 1988. Wow. Working a lot with that man, Matt Dunnigan. Matty, why don't you ask David some questions here, your old receiver here.
All things right in the world, man. I got this guy next to me, right? I tell you, absolutely my favorite all time. And I played with some great Hall of Fame receivers, but this guy saw it like a quarterback, and we had a rapport that they often talk about, and but it's very difficult to have that with somebody, and when you do, it's special. And I made sure that this guy went everywhere I went. We started in BC together, we played in Toronto, and we ended up in Winnipeg together, and had a lot of success. David, I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned it, you hoping this was coming your way, and I'm glad it did, because I think you're deserving. I thought you're a Hall of Famer first time I met you. But Dave, you do you feel like it's been a long time coming?
I feel like it's been a long time coming. I thought because I didn't play a long time that it would take a long time. I always hoped that I could get here, and because I played with you and we scored over 50-something touchdowns, I'm honored to be here.
Well, for me, and Rod alluded to this, the moment you stepped in the CFL, you won the MOP. Did you know right away that you would have that much success? And you weren't a true rookie. You played a few years in the NFL, but this was a different league, different rules. Did you think you would have that much success right away?
I wasn't positive, but...
Hold on. I'm going to ask you one more time, and I want you to be honest. Did you think you would have that much success? We are receivers. It's okay to have a little ego. Did you think so?
I knew I could play. I just needed I needed the opportunity. And fortunately for me, I had a great quarterback with Matt Dunnigan, and I had a coach, Adam Rita, who had coached Mervin Fernandez before. So he knew how to use someone like me. And then I was fortunate enough to play with Matt Dunnigan with the arm, the golden arm. So we just clicked right away. I was fortunate and honored to be here.
I don't know who this guy is.
I remember you having an ego bigger, more like a Milton Eagle ego.
Yeah, I don't know who this is. You go in TV mode, man. You need to just relax. Yeah.
Hey, this is funny. Matt was a competitor. So Matt played hard on game day, but he played hard on every day of the week. Matt hated me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
That's right.
Because I would come out on the field with no tape on my shoes, and Matt would be in game day mode. And on Tuesday, I'm like, it's Tuesday. We play Saturday. Stop. Slow down.
Right.
So he throw me balls would be bouncing, and he'd be looking at me mad, and I'd just be like, okay, I'm going to play Saturday, but it's Tuesday. Leave me alone.
Now, quickly, when you got the call, knowing everybody who had been there for you, all your resources that had your back throughout your journey to playing professional football, getting that call, to knowing that you're going to be wearing that jacket, how did that feel when that call came, when you picked up the phone and received that message?
I thought of him. I thought of my family. I thought of all my teammates and all my coaches that helped me get there, from Pop Warner, Little League, everywhere. I want to give a shout out to Jan Carenzi, who taught me the game on the fly and made everything easier for Matt when I was actually out on the field.
Wow,
I was honored.
You know, it's interesting. Your paths didn't cross, missed by just a couple of years. Your paths nearly crossed.
Games. We missed by games.
By just games. You came to Winnipeg just after you had left.
I think I took his button. I'm just joking.
I'm trying to imagine. Two rather confident receivers on the same team, by the way.
Rod, Dave saw it like a quarterback, and it was innate. You know, I look at him, and I see a hole in the defense, and I knew he was going to be there. We were just aboard a play, and I could just throw it knowing that he'd go get it. And it was a special rapport that I'd never had with another receiver like that before in my life.
Talk about crossing paths, Matty. Your paths crossed several times with BC, as you talked about. Later with the Argos, winning a Grey Cup together in '91, and with Winnipeg as well. And the league is better for it that you did.
Yes.
And to have you in the league, David Williams, congratulations. Inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame.
Thank you for having me.
We're getting set for the Hall of Fame game. It's the Lions and the Tiger Cats here in the CFL on TSN from Hamilton. Stick around. One of the best Canadian running backs of all time, John Cornish.
John Cornish, big gain, open field, and he's gone.
Swerve Mervin spent all 6 of his seasons with the BC Lions, and he made the most of it.
1st and 10, going deep for Fernandez, touchdown.
David Williams joined the CFL in 1988 and was an instant star.
To the end zone for Williams, touchdown.
Terry Greer spent all 6 of his CFL seasons as a Toronto Argonaut and was the first player in history to win both a Super Bowl and a Grey Cup. Welcome back to Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, getting set for the Hall of Fame game between the BC Lions and the 5-2 Hamilton Tiger Cats, coming off a loss last week in Saskatchewan. Still first place in the East Division. For BC, a record of 1-6, and we've got to get to it again. Mike Riley's the most sacked quarterback in the CFL by far, 25 times. Now, Henry, their offensive line, they've had the bye, they've come out of it, trying to make some changes. There's only one constant between their line today and their line 2 weeks ago. Joel Figueroa is still at left tackle. So all these changes, that's the big question, though. Will it help protect Mike Riley today?
I think having this time off will definitely help in making some changes, but I'm not a fan of changes. But what I do know about this offensive line, talking to Ed Hervey before the game, is one of these guys got to step up and be the leader, because with all the non-success that this offensive line has went through, seeing their quarterback on his back constantly, one of those guys has to step up, because right now confidence can always become a big issue. The lack of confidence, that is, as far as with this offensive line. So if it's Joel Figueroa or if it's Suk Chung, somebody needs to step up and be the leader of this offensive line to help sure things up on this offense.
Yeah, I hear you, Hank, and we know it starts up front. You can take the best quarterback in the league, and basically they have one in Mike Riley, and he looks average for 7 weeks through the season. And the last time they played, they averaged 1.8 yards per play. and Mike Riley threw for 66 yards. So you don't have the big boys in front of you protecting you. You don't have the schemes right in front of you. I don't care how good you are. It's tough to throw off your back. Mike Riley's going to have some help now because they changed the ratio up front. They've gone from having 4 Canadians to 3 Americans in an offensive line. And I don't give a crap whether you got a C or an A on your chest, just as long as you can find a way to get it done consistently, and that's what they got to get done, Milt.
The 2 units that need to play together, to learn how to play together, offensive line and defensive backs. These guys haven't played together. They haven't been in pads together because they can't practice in pads anymore. So they're going to get a crash course today. They have to come out and play with some effort. You play with some effort, you play with some pride, sometimes that overcomes not playing together. So it's going to be a tough task, but they have to protect Mike Riley. They can't allow him, and I've been saying this, they can't allow him to keep taking these hits and think they're going to have a chance of winning.
How about the counterpart, Dane Evans, starting at quarterback for the Ticats, of course, the rest of the way filling in for Jeremiah Masoli, who suffered that season-ending injury a few weeks ago. You saw that start against Saskatchewan. They lost the game, but we do wonder, you know, what kind of development as the season progresses for Dane Evans, about to get another start, getting ready for kickoff of the Hall of Fame game as we head upstairs for the call from Rod Black and Dwayne Ford, guys.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Hello, Canada. It's sunny, it's windy, it's a great day. Dwayne Ford, it's a Hall of Fame day.
Well, it certainly is. Look at these coaches. There's a guy who's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, Orlando Steinauer. 5-2, coming off a loss, looking to overcome some injuries this week, so a new challenge for him in his first year as a CFL head coach. And his counterpart, another rookie head coach, longtime defensive coordinator, of course, in Calgary, former CFL defensive tackle. Devon Claybrooks just looking to get his team on the rails, not even back on the rails. Just 1 win for him so far this season, looking to take advantage of a slightly beat-up Hamilton team.
Vintage flyover. Vintage All-Stars, Hall Stars in the house today. It is the Hall of Fame game, full house at Tim Hortons Field, home to the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Welcome, one and all. It is the Hall of Fame game. The cat fight begins. BC won the toss, deferred. There's a lot of wind blowing up there. Hamilton will go against the breeze, and Frankie Williams gives them a good starting point. Actually, they'll have the wind at their backs here, and so they'll try to get it started earlier with Dane Evans at the helm.
Yeah, Dane Evans obviously getting a little bit more comfortable week by week. He's going to be the Hamilton Tiger Cats starter the rest of the way, with Jeremiah Masoli going down. 19 of 29 for him last week.
25-year-old out of Sanger, Texas. Getting his second start with Jeremiah Masoli on the shelf for the season. It's his car to drive right now. Hands it off. It's about 6 or 7 yards here. Cameron Marshall is the featured tailback for the Cats right now.
Yeah, he'll get the bulk of the work from the backfield, and obviously the #1 target offensively, Brandon Banks, back among the healthy this week, recovering from turf toe. Along the offensive line, injury at guard to Darius Sirocco opens the door for Kay Okafor, former defensive lineman at St. FX. Third-year man makes his first start at the right guard position, nestled between the veterans Filer and Van Zyl.
Hamilton offense that comes in with the most points scored in the Canadian Football League against defense that allows a lot of points. But remember, a lot of those points were scored by Jeremiah Masoli. How about this? Bit of deception. And look out now as Braylon Addison runs a wildcat out of the chute and romps for 23 yards. Tiger Cat turned Wildcat.
Yeah, well, that's ultimately what it ends up being, as you see Addison, as Evans looked like he was calling signals out to the wideout. Addison walks in under center. Again, former high school quarterback, started his career as such at Oregon before becoming a receiver, and certainly caught the BC Lions a little bit off guard, flat-footed.
Could not catch that football that time from Dane Evans, so it'll be 2nd down and 10. Again, the wind blowing from the northwest, going to gust to about 30 an hour as this game goes on. We'll see if that's a factor late. 23 degrees Celsius, perfect night to end off week 9 with the Hall of Fame game from Hamilton. Here's the rush. Evans standing in, throwing, touchdown, Brandon Banks. Back in the lineup, back in the end zone. What an impressive march from Dane Evans and the Hamilton Tiger Cats out of the gate here tonight.
Yeah, going into attack mode right away. Brandon Banks motions from the backfield out to that right slot. Dane Evans stands in, tripped up just as he throws, but a bust in coverage leaves Banks wide open down the seam.
5 plays, 67 yards, 2 minutes and 1 second. Here is a Hamilton team that also goes after the 2-point convert more than any other team in the league. Most attempts and most successes as well. Going for 2 here, trying to put 8 on the board early. Evans rolling, and then chucking it up. Jump ball, and it's caught by Brandon Banks. That was a moon ball. Brandon Banks puts 8 points on the board, courtesy of Dane Evans. What a drive. Brandon Banks missed last week. Cats missed him. Did not miss that.
On the touchdown, you're going to see Brandon Banks. He's going to motion from the backfield out into the slot. You've got 2 defenders out on that side. Halfback Aaron Grimes, weak side linebacker Isaiah Guzlak-Messam. Little bit of miscommunication, I suspect, with guys that haven't played a lot before. Banks is going right down the seam. Grimes cheats outside, thinks Guzlak-Messam's going to pick him up. And vice versa, as the linebacker sits inside. Brandon Banks left wide open for an easy shot from Dane Evans.
Banks wearing some new spikes this week, some new cleats. Suffering from turf toe. Looked great on that drive. 8 points put on the board early from the Cats. Just a couple minutes in. And they're going to have to probably get somebody to hold this ball. The wind's starting to blow again. And as we've seen so often in this stadium and also the previous stadium, Iverwin here in Hamilton, when the wind blows off the lake here, it can be impactful. Lions look to answer. Ryan Langford. Touchdown returns. Previous game where the Lion offense really struggled. Mike Riley on the field in a moment.
And there you get another look at the touchdown, the action on that side of the field, where ultimately they release it back to that side as well. You've got a 4th receiver coming out to that side of the field again, creating confusion amongst the secondary and linebacking core in terms of who's going where in coverage. You get caught flat-footed for a split second, and a guy like Brandon Banks is going to be long gone.
Mike Riley over 100 starts, over 100 more starts than Dane Evans, but his team really sputtering. First pass to Duron Carter. Trying to get him going. Mike Riley trying to get going. Very pedestrian numbers. The biggest number, though, the amount of hits and hurries he's taken and had to endure.
Yeah, and certainly how that is translated when you look at things like that touchdown to interception ratio, where he's even a guy who's usually well above in terms of his touchdown passes. You mentioned the number of hits, the number of sacks, and what that's translated to in terms of the BC Lions record. 1-6.
They made some changes for this game. 2nd and inches. Big boys out there. Riley's going to take it himself and get the first down. There have been some alterations for the Lions from a couple of weeks ago. They had the bye last week, and after getting throttled by Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and it's obvious where they think the issues lie as we look at this offense. Duron Carter, receiver on the first pass, and guessing they're going to look to get him involved early, but it's along this offensive line. where a statement is being made. You heard the boys on the panel mention Joel Figueroa at left tackle. The only guy starting in the same position as 2 weeks ago. Justin Renfro, this former Stampeder, comes in at right tackle. Philip Norman, another American at center. So 3 Americans on that offensive line.
Al Bradbury's our referee. We had flags right away and play that did not get started. Sort this one out.
Before the snap, procedure, BC, number 61. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Joel Figueroa. Used to play here in Hamilton. Former Miami Hurricane.
Figueroa also at the stop in Edmonton. Used to be Henry Burris's left tackle here with the Ticats.
First and 15 for the Lions. Sends out 5, turns, and handing it off to John White. A delayed draw. And they'll still have a second down here, but second and pretty manageable.
Take a look at this Hamilton Tiger Cat defense. Up front, they've been led by Jagarrett Davis. Now, he faces a guy in his matchup sometimes today in Justin Renfro, who he would have seen a lot in practice in Calgary over the last couple of years. Simone Lawrence, glad to have him back at the will linebacker spot after serving his 2-game suspension. Jamal Roll tied for the team lead with 2 picks. He had both those against Winnipeg. He's in at the boundary corner for an injured Delvin Breaux this week.
Second down and 5. Riley. Play action to Brian Burnham. See if this play will stand. There was another flag that flew.
Yeah, it looked to me like Jagarrett Davis at the right defensive end spot was a step early.
And if he was, that could result in a first down here.
As an aside, Deron Carter has been jawing nonstop since the first play of this game with the Hamilton Tiger Cat secondary.
He was jawing nonstop in the pregame, as a matter of fact, and also with the fans having some fun.
We have
Here's Al.
penalties. No end, BC. Offside. Offside. Hamilton.
If looks could kill.
Well,
Al trying to calm the players down.
Yeah, you get a procedure call like that based on formation. I mean, that's an assignment, a missed assignment. Basically, people not understanding where they need to be aligned.
Von Claybrooks and Orlando Steinauer head on in this. Couple of former All-Stars defensively, first years as head coaches in the Canadian Football League. Orlando more success so far, 5-2. DC, the former DC defensive coordinator, 1-6. A great mystery early on what's going on with the BC Lions, who went out in the offseason and picked up a few weapons. Right now they have been firing blanks though. Still trying to sort all of this out. Let's try this again.
After further review by the video official, BC did have an end on this. So we are only offside Hamilton.
So offside Hamilton should make it close to a first down, if not a first down.
So you need 7 men on the line of scrimmage, and you can see the BC Lions have 7 guys there. So a little bit of confusion, but this is the purpose of the video official to review that. There's Jagarrett Davis, by the way. He was the guy who jumped. You saw him lean across that line of scrimmage lean into the neutral zone rather before the snap of the ball.
Not quite a first down. Mike Riley confirms that on 2nd and inches. So the Lions trying to battle back and respond to the Cats' impressive opening drive here.
We talked about the juggling act on the BC Lions offensive line. Once again, left tackle Joel Figueroa, the only constant from their last game. They had a bye last week, so from 2 weeks ago against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. David Foucault moving to left guard. So John back in the lineup at his usual right guard spot.
Pressure comes. Riley delivers. Javon Katoy, junior star. 14th catch of the season. First-year player for the Lions.
Young man, they'd like to see a little bit more involved in this BC Lions offense. Guy who kind of came out of nowhere to win a job in training camp.
Big body, Javon Katoy. See if get their other weapons going, like Carter. 8th play of the drive on 2nd and 6. Going deep here. Jump ball. It isn't even a jump. It's a touchdown. Brian Burnham like that. His first major of 2019. A 47-yard strike from Mike Riley.
Well, when you talk about big play receivers, Brian Burnham has been among the biggest in the Canadian Football League over the last few years. Many will remember his highlight reel catch here at Tim Hortons Field. But here, as the defender has position with Richard Leonard shielded from the football, Mike Riley puts the ball on the outside. Only Burnham's able to get to it, then just fights his way to the end zone. When you're struggling as the BC Lions are, you look to your veteran guys, your big players, to be the guys to get you going. Mike Riley, Brian Burnham among them, and they get the job done here on BC's first possession.
Burnham talking yesterday as they go for 2 to try to tie. Riley steps up, throws it up, and Lamar Durant shielded on the corner, incomplete. Well, for a team that struggled to get points 2 weeks ago and only had 68 net yards, Mike Riley drives them down the field. 7th touchdown pass of the season. And an 8-6 Ticat lead. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Hall of Fame Day, Hall of Fame weekend, honoring the greats. The new class, the Magnificent Seven, will be chatting with them during the game. And Brian Burnham channeling maybe some David Williams or Swervin Mervin Fernandez.
Well, it was the year of the receiver in the Hall of Fame class, so 2 16s out here today are off to a good start.
Brandon Banks scoring, Brian Burnham scoring, the 2 E's, the 2 16s, and there's a ball that pops out of Frankie Williams. Chris Edwards is downfield quickly. Ball ruled Hamilton's ball. No one touched that on the way out.
We'll take a look back at the touchdown by Brian Burnham, and you're going to see him from the slot literally run in a straight line down the hash mark. They're up against man coverage. Ball hangs up and ends up a little bit behind him, and it's just a matter of Burnham doing a better job of locating and getting to the football. He reacts to it a little quicker, a little more quickly than does Richard Leonard, and makes a play on the ball.
Lots of offense so far early on in this one. Braylon Addison. Stutter step on the far side, picks up half the first down yardage. A dump down from Dane Evans. Here's the D lining up tonight for the BC Lions.
Yeah, we take a look on the defensive line, Charles Wright, and at the defensive end opposite Odell Willis. They've had some injury issues at that spot. We mentioned Hamilton native, Wilfrid Laurier product, Isaiah Guzlak-Messam getting his first start at the will linebacker spot. In the secondary, former Saskatchewan Rough Rider and Toronto Argonaut, Preston Butler is in at the field corner.
Evans goes through his reads and has a first down. That's caught by Mike Jones. Evans going going to work here so far, 40.
Absolutely. Looks like he's got a pretty good rhythm thus far.
Hand off up the middle for Addison.
Yeah, you've got to like the creativity from the Hamilton Tiger Cats offense thus far. We're used to seeing them try to get the ball to Brandon Banks in multiple ways, but now recognizing, as you see offensive coordinator Tommy Condell, that Braylon Addison is another guy who gives them a chance to be creative in terms of how they put the ball in his hands.
Put it in his hands this time, doesn't go anywhere. Will result in the punt team coming out on the field past the midway point of this opening quarter. And we saw both opening series result in touchdowns. Not this time. Ryan Langford is back. Lirim Hajrullahu. Wobbly one, but again into that breeze. Langford makes one miss and will step out of bounds near the 24-yard line. Hall of Fame Day, Hall of Fame class 2019, and we'll honor all of them during our broadcast during the game today. The class of 2019 in Hamilton. Back in the hammer, second series for Mike Riley and company. Trying to bust out of this slump this team has been in since the beginning of the season. They've lost 3 straight, have only won 1 game. John White, another former Cat, behind some good blocking up front. Behind the big boys. Picks up 7 or almost 8 yards on that play.
Well, you got to believe the BC Lions are going to let those big boys eat a little bit. What I mean by that is let them get in this groove of run blocking. Dish out a little bit of physical punishment rather than having to sit back and essentially take it, which is what you're doing as a pass blocker.
BC team that struggled on second downs this season, but they've been 4 of 4 so far in this game, and they've been second and short most of the time. Much more manageable. Look at another first down. White bucket down, drives through.
John White. Nice job resurrecting his career, so to speak, when you think about the injuries from which this gentleman has battled back.
Devastating injuries.
Yeah, and you know, John White is one of those guys, high energy guy, always positive. And I'm a big believer that that's a huge part of what got him through the tough times, is he never stopped believing, and here he is.
Riley pitching it off out of the backfield. Is Wayne Moore.
Yeah, coming home.
Cool boy. Former Alouette pick.
Yeah, Wayne Moore, the former McMaster Marauder. Played his university football right here in Hamilton. Gets
how about
back
a look
on the roster this week.
Dwayner, how about a look from Al Bradbury's ref view?
Here it is. Al's got a great seat.
There it is. Giving, hey, point as well. First and 10. Moore again. Wayne Moore getting some touches. Hasn't had many. Starting to eat here, the BC Lions offense.
Yeah, Wayne Moore getting an opportunity to mix things up. A little bigger, more physical back than John White. But I'll tell you what, this kid's a terrific football player. He had a bit of a rough start to his career as he got second-round pick of the Alouettes. Got hurt in his first training camp. Basically spent the season trying to recover. Once he did, he was let go. Came back, had a shot with Ottawa before getting picked up by BC. Carved out a niche for himself. A very good special teamer, now getting an opportunity in the backfield.
Yeah, his first touches as a tailback. White back into block. Riley's in trouble. Avoids the sack and then dishes it off. Looks like it was dropped. Jerron Carter, helmet askew. Well, that O-line we talked about, a little maligned, but an all-star guy. Looking after that is Brian Chew.
Yeah, Brian Chew's been around a little bit. sort of weathering the storm as they have been the object of much criticism to start the season.
Under 3 to play, opening quarter. Pats rush 4. Riley is going down for the 26th time this season. Jagarrett Davis gets to Riley. Guy who used to play in Calgary and used to see Mike Riley as an Eskimo.
Good
Easy
get off.
pickings.
Good get off from Davis, but if you watch Figueroa on that play, he looked like he was going inside. Again, not sure when if you're getting some miscommunication there. He looked like he was squeezing down to the inside, and by the time he redirected, Jagarrett Davis had his arms around Mike Riley.
First sack of the ball game. And that department has plagued the BC Lions offense so far this season. Too many sacks. Frankie Williams high stepping. Nice return. Good starting point for Dane Evans on Hall of Fame day. One of the Hall of Famers inducted this year in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, the great Terry Greer, former Argo, MOP, champion, Hall of Famers with Matthew next. One of the members of the Magnificent Seven of 2019, a guy who used to play in Hamilton as an enemy, but is much more friendly today. Look at the numbers that Terry Greer, the great number 10, put up.
Yeah, absolutely remarkable. 1983, first receiver ever to go over 2,000 yards in a season. One of the heroes of my youth, Terry Greer, now with Matthew Shinetti on the sidelines.
Now, guys, not only the 2,000-yard mark, first by a receiver in pro football, Grey Cup champion, Super Bowl champion, now Hall of Famer. Terry, I was asking you off air, when you removed the cloth off that bust, you looked at it, knowing everything you accomplished, where did your mind go?
Well, actually, things started to sink in that I'm one of the members of one of the all-time great receivers and players that ever played in Canadian Football League. I was just so honored. You know, it's been a long time, but it's well worth the wait, you know, so I was just so pleased to be part of it. There's a lot of great players that's been a part of this thing, and I'm just honored.
Now, in terms of when you did transition over to the NFL, knowing everything you accomplished with the Argos and winning a Grey Cup, did you feel like an ambassador, given everything that you had accomplished in this league, because you then became a member of a very exclusive club, winning a Grey Cup and a Super Bowl?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, all I've been through, I think 11 years of professional football and then coaching a couple of years. So you take all that stuff together and try to do things the right way, and I think I did that, you know. So I was just mentor the younger guys and just show them how to do things the right way.
And thinking about it right now, did you hear from anybody, former CFL teammates, former NFL teammates, in the last few months since it's been announced that you are going to be in the Hall of Fame?
But yes, all those guys have showed up, man. Like even last night, you know, I was honored. I was surprised that maybe at least 15 to 20 of my former teammates from the '83 team were there. You know, they caught me off guard. One of my better friends, Paul Pearson, showed up all the way from Vancouver to come and just, you know, share this moment with me. And that's a lot, and I think it says something about me as a person and how they feel about me, because that many guys just show up, you know, and help me get through this.
Now, speaking of Toronto, you're wearing a very particular kind of T-shirt. You're wearing a Raptors championship T-shirt. I have to ask you, I know you were talking about you're from Cleveland, but that connection from Toronto is still there, isn't it?
Oh, most definitely. You know, I lived in Toronto 6 years, and Canada's still some of my favorite people in the world, because you got to realize I came from down south in a real bad time. I came to Toronto, and I was just speaking last night about the 4 C's: culture, Canadian, and character, and then not color. You know, so when I got up here, I went through all that. So it's just great, and I love the people up here. And so, you know, I root for my Cleveland Cavaliers, guys, but when Cleveland was knocked out, Raptors all the way, baby.
What a career. Congratulations, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's awesome. Terry Greer, I'll add another 2 C's. Champion and class.
Yes, sir.
What a great, great player. Hamilton Tiger Cats on the move here. Will be 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. And that is the final play of the opening quarter. Speaking of class, the class of 2019, one of the greatest running backs this league has ever seen. I bet you could still play. He's going to join us in the booth next. John Cornish, Hall of Famer on Hall of Fame Day. Another member of the class of 2019, former outstanding Canadian in the league, outstanding player, Grey Cup champion, yada, yada, yada. And here's the big one, is John Cornish joins us now in our broadcast booth. Drafted 13th overall. Oh. Second round in 2006, which might be one of the most astonishing things of all. John, congratulations on a glorious career. We still think that you're playing out there, but what does it mean to wear that jacket, to be called a Hall of Famer?
Oh, definitely the honor of my lifetime. This is something I always imagined, and to actually have this opportunity now to wear this jacket, be amongst some of the greatest football players of all time, an honor of a lifetime.
Talk to me about breaking down barriers. You're a guy who excelled, the CFL rushing champion, most outstanding player, playing a position typically reserved for Americans.
It is there was a lot of headwinds that I didn't sort of foresee. I mean, I thought as a good running back, you would have the opportunity to just come in, strut your stuff, and then get the opportunity to play. That was not the case, and I was told, because of ratio issues, maybe starters, Canadian starters were there. I really needed to make the case for myself as a player, not just as a Canadian.
And you think about basically during your time, you became a starter. You had a guy like Andrew Harris, Jerome Messam along the way. I don't know, did the three of you guys ever kind of talk about breaking down those barriers and the battles that you fought, or the barriers that you had to overcome?
It's always been a fun time to see sort of the rivalry between the three of us, but there was no real opportunity for us to ever really spend some time together. It was just funny. We never crossed paths in such a way that we would have a long conversation, that we could actually, hey guys, we really did. We changed the running back position in the CFL. No, that conversation hasn't happened yet. I would look forward to it though.
We have an injury on the field here. Braylon Addison is down. Dane Evans is also overlooking at him, and this is a team that's gone through a lot of injuries. I want to talk about injuries to you too, and career was kind of shortened by injury. In many ways, you might have been playing the last few years, but do you miss the game?
The Stampeders have given me the opportunity to play in a different way, on the sidelines, hanging out with the fans, taking care of sweet holders.
You look like you're having fun, by the way.
Yeah, it is such a good time, because I was never removed from the game day. I think a lot of players, they retire, they're cut. They don't get to participate in the game day situation anymore. And for me to still be a part of that, still be able to go to the locker room when I want, still be able to see Dave and Huff and all the guys, I never feel like I have ever been a part of this team, apart from the team.
Do you miss it? I mean, game day's fun, but do you miss being with the guys, winning Grey Cups, winning rushing titles, winning all the awards that you're winning?
It was awesome to do. But I think there's a time and a place for everything, and I am sort of at this point feeling as healthy as I've ever felt. Being able to go for a sprint, go for a run, ride the bike. Yeah, these are things I enjoy doing, and I have no pain doing it. And I think that's a great thing to be able to say after 9 years, 20 years in total of football.
You gotta love this Canadian football here. Onside kick. Cats recover. Setting up for a field goal. Little razzle-dazzle, Lirim Hajrullahu.
I haven't seen the flag down on the field.
There is a flag down.
Pulling out all the stops against the wind.
I thought it was a curious choice going against this wind from that distance. Jeff Reinbold, the special teams guru, going to sort this out.
Well, when you've been at it as long as Jeff Reinbold has in this league. See Lirim Hajrullahu, who's just trying to get a little bit of air under that one.
The ruling on the field is that number 23 Hamilton was onside. He's the first to touch the ball. Therefore, there's no yards. Recovery by Hamilton. First down.
Great play.
So Hamilton hangs on here. We'll continue this drive. Who's the guy that, as we take a look at the play once more.
And you'll just see the swarm of guys in the back. They're behind the punter when the ball is kicked, so they're onside. They don't have to give yards. They can get down there and recover that one.
Perfectly executed. Dane Evans back in the gun. Hand off again. Cameron Marshall. I know you're a big fan still, obviously, this year with the returns, backup quarterbacks. Who's the guy that you really get an interest, get the juice flowing when you're watching? Not necessarily a Stampeder, but around the Canadian Football League.
I think Chris Rainey is my favorite player now.
Oh, yeah?
You know, the things that he's continued to do season after season. He is so close to being, one of the top guys in this league. He just needs a few more touches, and I think he's right there.
2nd down and 6. Dropping it off again. The drive will continue.
Just changing gears a little bit, John. I want to talk to you a little bit about your journey to the Canadian Football League. You spoke about it in your acceptance speech last night. And one of the ones that stood out to me was obviously when you spoke about your mom and the sacrifices that she made to help you get to this point.
Yeah, the storyline of this single mom raising kids, and then one of the kids become a football player. You've heard that a few times, but I want to give a lot of love to my mom and to all the single mothers, single parents who have had to struggle raising their kids. It's hard journey, but for them to give the groundwork for these kids to be successful, I know the parents are so proud. I know my 2 moms are super proud of me, but I'm just as proud of them for the work that they did getting me to this point.
Flag down.
Illegal block, hands to the face, BC number 96, half distance to the goal.
What is your personal YouTube moment, if you have one, you have to look back and the rest of your life on from football? One singular moment or a couple that kind of paved your Hall of Fame career?
I think you guys have your TSN CFL playoff top 10. I always like to talk about the play I had in the Western Final 2014 versus Edmonton. 78-yard little dump off from Bo. And I like to think I made every guy on the Edmonton team miss, but
well, back in the game is Addison, spinning now down near the 5-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal. Well, you had a lot of great plays, man. Oh,
it was
human highlight reel.
You want to achieve that, and then that would actually be the thing I would miss most about the game, is that I no longer can produce new game film.
Thank goodness for highlights in YouTube.
So defensive coordinators all across the country are thankful of that, my friend.
Yes. 12th play of this drive, 2nd and goal, operating against the wind. And whistle blows. What about Speedy B?
With his touchdown today, they had a nice little play out to the right side. They ran one receiver out to the flat, so opened it up for him. He came right up the pipe. Nice little drop in. And anytime you have him, like you've seen him in 2014, the Grey Cup, him running a nice little kickoff back to the end zone. That was a heartbreaker. But thankfully it didn't count. But anytime you're playing against him, you have to key in on a guy like Corey Banks.
Speedy Banks. Hamilton number 61. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
So 2nd down here with John Cornish, one of the 7 inductees to the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, which is here in this stadium at Tim Hortons Field. What did you think of your bust?
I thought it was pretty nice. There is I have some small veins on my temples. Those were captured, and I appreciate that. I have a somewhat featureless scalp. So.
2nd and goal. Will the Cats punch it in? Evans looking, rolling. Addison cut back. Down near the 1. Plowing his way. Orlando Steinauer now has a decision on 3rd and goal.
And no doubt waiting for the spot here. And Liram Hairolahu is among those in black trotting out on the field.
Looks like it's going to be around the 2-yard line, so maybe
almost a 3.
Yeah. So they're going to bring Hairolahu out this time. Guaranteed this will not be an onside kick. Little chip shot against the wind. Cats to go up by 5. Easy one for Hairelahu. Buries it. I speak for every football fan who watched you play. Congratulations. You are where you belong. Where's that vein?
Oh, there it is. Right there. Right alongside there.
Congratulations. John Cornish, the great John Cornish, class of 2019. You know what's around the corner, Dwayne? Week 10. Season flying along. Thursday night football presented by The Brick. As BC heads to Winnipeg to play the Bombers. BC staying out east.
Yeah.
Road trip, and they hope that might lead to a little magic.
Hopefully a little bonding for the BC Lions during this time as they try to get their season pointed in the right direction.
Sometimes that can work too.
A tough matchup though, as the Bombers have been terrific all season.
Winnipeg getting back on the winning track in week 9. Ryan Langford. So Mike Riley now operating 5-point deficit. Again, just 4 of 6, 72 yards into the second quarter, and the numbers just not there for Riley and the Lions so far.
So that said, exceeding their passing numbers from their last game
already.
Yeah, just
68.
Yeah.
1 sack allowed.
Run game looked good in the first quarter for BC. I thought between John White and that offensive line, but now they've got the wind at their backs.
Handed off. White makes Adrian Tracy miss. Shoots his way up near the 40-yard line.
Well, we've talked about it before, and John White's injury history, serious knee injury, the Achilles injury. Remarkable that this guy still has the explosiveness that he does, the ability to accelerate, you know, and deliver a blow on contact. Guy obviously with some history with BC general manager Ed Hervey from their time together in Edmonton. Brought in during free agency after playing last season in Hamilton, given an opportunity.
2nd and 4. Burnham and Carter in motion. Riley's going to take it himself, and Mike Riley on 2nd and 4. Second down conversions have been working so far for the BC Lions. 6 of 7 so far today.
And I love that play call, Rod, just conceptually, not necessarily that you want to see Mike Riley running a lot with the ball and taking hits, but the fact that they're doing something on play action off of the run game, potentially creating an opportunity to move the pocket around from a similar look and throw the ball as this game progresses.
Mike Riley yesterday telling us no excuses. The team just hasn't performed well in so many phases. But the running game doing well today. And this O-line that has been besieged and maligned. Doing some serious run blocking for this guy.
Offensive line continuing to do good work. Let's look at the left tackle. Joel Figueroa on this one drives the pile down, creating that wide run lane. John White having himself a pretty good day. I suspect no one happier for it than, quite frankly, Mike Riley.
Good balance right now. Pulls it back. Riley does. And from that back foot, tried to deliver to DeLamar Durant. Incomplete.
But again, you look at the play call. One of the things is we see offensive coordinator Jarius Jackson, longtime quarterback in this league. One of the criticisms of the BC Lions so far, as Mike Riley has been sacked a number of times, has been, it seems like there's been an element of predictability to their offense where a lot of the passes are coming from the pocket. Mike Riley's a bit of a stationary target, but now we're seeing them doing some things off the run. They've had success running the ball, and they're starting to build some of their pass game off of that, as you saw in the last play.
That's an offside. Simone Lawrence, so a free one here, and another flag on the far side. Burnham only gets a couple yards, but it looks certainly like Simone Lawrence jumped. Simone back in the lineup.
Offside. Hamilton, number 21, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Yes. Simone Lawrence is trying to time up his blitz. He's going to show up right here from his weak side linebacker spot, trying to hit this one on the run. Just a split second early, and he gets caught. Defensive coordinator Mark Washington, longtime member of the BC Lions as a player, and of course their coaching staff. He was their defensive coordinator the last few seasons before moving over to Hamilton.
Cats rushing for Riley to Durant, sideline, and Lamar Durant skipping down that sideline and brings it inside the score zone, the red zone, inside the 20-yard line, a 28-yard pickup.
Lamar Durant working out a slot. He's quickly established himself as one of Mike Riley's favorite targets. Former Calgary Stampeder. Second-round pick in 2015. Absolutely remarkable athlete. Lamar Durant. I think the sky is the limit for this guy.
4 touchdowns on the season, but this is where the Lions really struggle. Inside the 20, too many field goals, not this time. Waltzing in is John White. Touchdown BC. The seas absolutely parted. And that will increase your red zone numbers as you just sail to the end zone.
The Lions did a terrific job on this play of getting the Hamilton Tiger Cat defense stretched out. John White, with his speed, ability to attack the perimeter. They get that defense running, bodies on bodies. John White sort of presses the point of attack before picking a hole. Turns it north-south. Huge gap there. But they're doing a terrific job blocking things up in the run game, and White doing equally as well, hitting those holes.
Sergio Castillo, a former Cat, buries the point after. BC has its first lead thanks to John White, and a drive engineered by Mike Riley. White's 4th touchdown of the season. 2-point lead, BC.
Let's talk about the terrific job done by the offensive line here. Watch textbook double team working up to next level by David Foucault. He keeps his right hand on Ted Laurent, keeps him there long enough to allow the center, Philip Norman, to fully get engaged. He gets on that block. That allows him to square up. Watch Justin Renfro on the backside. He gets Dylan Wynn on the ground. That creates a terrific run lane. That makes things real easy for John White. Justin Tuggle slipped and fell in the second level. White walks it in.
Frankie Williams getting some blocks. Frankie Williams getting some room. Frankie Williams, say goodbye. Another kick return for a touchdown.
I'll tell you what, I was starting to feel a little bit disappointed that every game gets a return. We weren't getting a return. It's just a matter of time.
We just got a return, Putnam. The year of the incredible return. 18 kick returns for touchdowns. Frankie Williams, his second of the season, had a punt return earlier.
Well, he got a nice double team right at the point of attack to start things off. Not allow the first man downfield to disrupt things. But what a response after giving up a touchdown defensively as Frankie Williams goes 108 yards to the house. You know, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, by the way, they've had 3 different guys.
And one of them's not playing tonight.
Yeah, Will Likely out of the lineup. Frankie Williams, Brandon Banks. Isn't Frankie Williams #1 on the 7-Eleven rankings?
Yes,
top returners?
Yes. Looking for 2. Evans floats it. Caught. Luke Tasker. So BC's first lead since 3 weeks ago lasted about a minute because Hamilton takes the lead again. The return man returneth again. Great builders, including this man, Frank Smith, a legend. Really the man who helped build the UBC Thunderbird program, a coach of the year, Vanier Cup champion. Frank Smith, Hall of Famer with Matthew Shinetti.
Yeah, Rod, I was just talking to Coach Smith, and he was remarking on how great the Ticats season has been from the return perspective. Coach Smith, congratulations on getting into the Hall of Fame. We were speaking just before break about the advancements in coaching, and you had a bit of a joke. How much do you wish? Do you wish you had all the benefits of technology now, or do you wish that they would have to coach the way you did back when you were building that UBC Thunderbird program?
Well, we were quite happy with our day, and you know, it'd be nice to have some technology, but I don't understand a lot of it.
But the way that you were coaching, the way that you built that program, when you look back on it, given the honor that you were just given, how much more does it mean knowing all those years that you were with the UBC Thunderbirds, that this is just another accolade in your career?
Well, this honor is a reflection of the UBC football program and the players and the coaches that I work with there at UBC and UBC itself. I'd like to say thank you to UBC for the 21 wonderful years I had there.
And in terms of just the value of university football in this country, what is it? Not just growing football players, but also growing young men and the education side as well. What's the value?
Yeah, well, that again reflects on the players that we've got. You know, a lot of people say, well, you know, how did you do that? Well, I did it by getting the right people. I look at these guys in the professions. They're school teachers, they're lawyers, doctors, surgeons, things like that. And the most important thing they're good family men. So that's the thing, is we got the right people at the right time.
And a coach isn't just a football coach, you're also building young men as well. Congratulations, Coach Smith, yet again.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach Smith and Matthew. Mike Riley, 2nd and 12, down 6, lays it in for Durant. You know, that's the most important thing when you think about the Canadian Football League and Canadian football. Canadian. That's what Frank Smith did in so many ways to Canadian university sport. Think about the biggest pipeline to this league. This league, the CFL, would not survive without Canadian football players.
That's it, Canadian university football. Frank Smith put almost 50 guys in the Canadian Football League. And one of the neat things to see at last night's ceremony was that a number of these guys came from all over the country. Guys that used to play for him back in university that have since gone on to do many different things, some of them in football, some of them out of football, but came to be here with Frank Smith as he was inducted to the Canadian Football Hall of Fame.
So now the BC Lions play not too far away from Thunderbird Stadium, Vancouver. 2 T-Birds have played through the years. Josh Bartel. 2 returners back, and oh, now some more razzle-dazzle. Look at this, Frankie Williams again. Flag is down, Williams down the sideline, and will not be caught once more.
Now what's the flag?
Unimaginable this season. Return after return, but will this return be returned? They trying to cool off Frankie Williams. How about the play though? Lateral pass. Now the flag was near the 43-yard line.
And it was in the middle of the return. It wasn't sort of no yards. We know that the throw was, the lateral was good. It was not a forward pass.
Which might signal some sort of illegal block where it was. They're bringing this back. Man, we've had some electricity already.
Hamilton is pulling out all the stops today.
No kidding. The bag of tricks.
Illegal block. Hamilton, number 28. 10-yard penalty.
Otherwise, Frankie Williams goes the distance with some help. But this is taken off the board. That is Tyrese Beverett at Stony Brook College. A couple of games in with the Cats. This brings it back a long, long way. Otherwise, we had our second return of the night. Just getting used to this stuff. Return touchdowns, game in, game out. Would have been an 81-yarder. Frankie Williams, who already scored once, to give the Cats the lead. And once again, playing that quarterback position is Braylon Addison, the Wildcat. 3-minute warning on the field. Here in the Hammer, Hall of Fame day continues.
Rod Smith back in Hamilton. 3 minutes to halftime. Coming up, we will introduce you to the 7 newest members of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Officially inducted here last night and honored again here at the half at Tim Hortons Field. 5 players, 2 builders, 1 shrine. The class of 2019. Back to Rod and Dwayne.
Yeah, thanks, Rod. And that shrine is here. Canadian Football Hall of Fame at Tim Hortons Field. And encourage everyone to get out and see the artifacts and the bus and the great memories. Dwayne, you were here last night. Another magical night. Yeah. Great. I heard a great MC.
The MC was adequate, but the night itself, absolutely fantastic. It's always great to see, and so much credit goes to the man you see in the middle right there. That's Mark DeNoble. He's the executive director of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Unbelievable, the work that Mark puts in. Just tremendous passion for the game and for the preservation of the history of the game as well.
So many players in the hall. No one may love the game more than Mark DeNoble.
So true. So true. You look at the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. The CFL has really thrown its support behind the hall in recent years. City of Hamilton and the Ticats.
That'll be a no yards, 15-yard penalty. Ryan Langford catching that within the 5-yard halo. There's Mark. And again, the Hall of Fame for many years was in downtown Hamilton, and they went through a restructuring, and was kind of wondering about its future. And then, credit the Hamilton Tiger Cats too, and owner Bob Young, and this team bringing the hall here. It really is a perfect place.
Yeah,
think
all
about
these groups coming together to sort of give the hall the place it deserves, the home it deserves. Certainly worth the trip anytime you're in the Hamilton area to come and have a look.
Let's give you a little mini tour. Just down a couple of levels, and there are all the busts through the years of the players. Again, honoring Canadian football, and there are stars like Matt Dunnigan, and there's Milt. Just doesn't look the same without a suit on. Mike Riley's got loads of time, and unloading here. Sideline. Oh, what a catch! Brian Burnham did that.
That's just Brian Burnham being Brian Burnham. Great adjustment to the ball and tremendous focus, not just to make the catch, but to be aware of that sideline and get his feet down in bounds.
Look at this, and by the way, this is just another routine catch at times for Brian Burnham. Tiptoe. Oh my goodness.
I mean, thank goodness we're in the digital age, because otherwise Brian Burnham would be running out of space on the highlight reel.
Yes, he is. Well, it's the year of the receiver in the Hall of Fame class as well.
Yeah, that's quite an audience for Brian Burnham to impress.
John White trying to punch it home. Trying to give BC back the lead. The Lions had gone 114 minutes and 54 seconds since they last had the lead, July 20th against Saskatchewan.
Yes, they got that back, and it lasted for all of 19 seconds before Frankie Williams spoiled the party on the West Coast.
But now they got a chance before halftime. Possibly surge in front once more. 2nd and goal from the 2. Riley, White behind him, Burnham in motion. They'll go to White once more. He'll score once more. John White's 2nd of the night. Has a few words for the south end zone.
John White's putting on a show against his former team tonight. Lions lined up in double tight. There was no deception here whatsoever. They weren't trying to hide what they were doing. Pounded the football and got it done.
John White now with 5 on the season. Former Utah star, and again played in Edmonton. Mike Riley played here in Hamilton. So they'll go for the point after in a tie game. Sergio Castillo. Danny O'Brien the hold, splitting the uprights. There's a flag down on the point after. Still a minute 36, still a chance for the Cats here to retake the lead.
I'm starving, I'm famished. What up, Lulu? What's up, little baby? Jumbo.
Major foul unnecessary
boom, boom, boom,
Hamilton,
boom.
number 90. This 15-yard penalty would be applied on the kickoff.
15-yard penalty, which means it might be even a deeper field, longer way to go for the Cats against the wind. But now BC recaptures the lead here in a first half that's had a little bit of everything. 2019. Kind of wonder if some of these players might have been looking up some YouTube, you know, taking a look at some of these names and knowing they're in the house.
Checking out the class.
And how about these guys, what they have done? Marked improvement for the BC Lions so far.
Offensive line has stepped it up.
Yeah, they called Choo Choo Montreal for so many years, Brian Choo.
Yeah, took him a while in his coaching career, but he sort of found his way back home. Brian, a Vancouver guy.
So now Castillo will kick this from his own 50. Unless Hamilton has another big return. Look at this little backspin.
It's a good play by Frankie Williams, a returner who's been around a couple years, understanding about field position. Let it go in the end zone, but don't let it get out once it's in there.
And also, play. And also don't touch it before it gets in. Otherwise you give up 2. So instead only 1.
Yeah, as you see, this was a close one. Played the bounce, but recognizes got to keep it in. Well done by Frankie Williams. You know, good returners don't just have to be fast and shifty. They also have to be smart, understanding when to catch the ball in the air, when to let it bounce, when to give up the point, when not to.
For our viewers down south, that single point in Canadian football, the rouge as we call it, those points add up. Hit screen for Addison. Been busy here, operating in the Wildcat, catching footballs. Braylon Addison. He too was nicked up earlier this season.
Yeah, you've really seen Braylon Addison's role in the offense. I mean, he's been an important guy in this offense all season, but you really see the Ticats again expanding the variety of ways in which they put the ball in his hands, maybe with Brandon Beggs being a little bit limited coming off the turf toe.
Evans. And a juggling act. Cameron Marshall. And so now, with a minute 21 to go, second straight 2-and-out. Lirim Hairolahu has to come out after this bit of hot potato that didn't go Cam Marshall's way. BC's got some time, especially with Mike Riley, and especially the fact that Haralahu has the wind right into his grill.
And now this is why giving up the single point was so important as opposed to fielding that kick. If you think about where they might have been had they been limited to a short return and were then punting the ball away. I think this is out in, it looked like it was out in the air.
If it's out in the air, it's between the 20s. That is a penalty. They might throw a flag late here. They're discussing it. The ball cannot fly out between the 20s. And they're probably going to get the eye in the sky. Coverage of the Northern Trust FedEx Cup playoffs. Dustin Johnson had it going yesterday. Tiger Woods had a WD in this one. Final round tomorrow. TSN and CTV2. FedEx Cup playoffs. Surprised there was no call.
Yeah, and they said, you heard the official say they're going to take a look at it from above, so clearly it must have been just inside the line.
Mike Riley escapes and throws to Lamar Durant. And that only took up a few seconds. So Mike Riley, knowing what he can do with this time, can put this in field goal position, especially with the wind. Let's see if this went out.
We'll take a look at the tail end here. Ball comes down. Yeah, they got it.
They did. Just, if you go by the nose, you got to go by the nose, not the compression of the ball, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Much credit to the official. He was right there. He had it right. 2nd and 1.
Mike Riley, who again, along with Devon Claybrooks, you know, obviously disappointed and somewhat baffled by this strange but true start for the BC Lions, but said there's a lot of belief in this locker room, and perhaps even this road trip might help galvanize the Lions. One thing they have to do on this road trip, though, got to get a W.
Yeah, there's no question of that. Facing a couple of tough teams. Tops in the CFL standings in their respective divisions. Ticats this week. Big game on Thursday, as mentioned, in Winnipeg.
Mike Riley sacked again tonight on 1st and 10. Clock ticks down to 41. And the Cats are posing Dylan Wynn, his 3rd sack of the season. 2nd sack from the Cats tonight.
Keep an eye here on Dylan Wynn from his defensive tackle spot. Just wins on pad level. It's underneath his man, keeps those hands and feet working. Dylan Wynn, an absolute warrior in the trenches.
Here's where the Cats have been killing it. The Lions have been really doing well on 2nd down. Not this time. And so with 18 left, this is likely going to play out. So 18 to go, 3rd down. Josh Bartel, the Aussie kicker, comes out.
This game, in fact, features the league's only 2 nationals who are not Canadian. In Josh Bartel and Kay Okafor. Okafor,
yes,
native of Nigeria, who learned the game at Holland College, Prince Edward Island.
Was a basketball player first.
That's right. Tried out for basketball first. Came to play basketball.
Bartel almost had that blocked. So the last gasp here for the Cats. Williams steps out, 9 seconds to go. So do you air it out here, or do you just take a knee and get ready for the halftime ceremony? This Hall of Fame game.
I know everybody's looking forward to that ceremony, but it's a little tempting to take a shot.
Hey, we're going for it.
Well, that's what you hear. And why not?
David Williams, by the way, he looked right at home on the panel.
He did.
Before the game.
He was, you know what? Not many guys come on that panel, go right at Milton right away. He did. 2 great receivers there. Our Hall of Fame panel standing by. Maybe some Brandon Banks stepping out.
That's
but
probably for
it.
the best. He was ready to keep running,
hey.
but he just stepped back on the line, but I think that's for the best.
So 4 seconds, got one more shot. Barring penalty, there's no chance they could kick a field goal against this wind. They'd have to get it down to the 35-yard line probably, and they probably don't have enough time.
The clock's not in their favor. It's just about getting one more play for a shot at the end zone.
3-man rush, Lions in prevent. So Dane Evans trying to step outside. And that will do it, Braylon Addison. They'll retreat to the locker room. BC Lions in a seesaw affair. Exciting day. Hall of Fame panel, Hall of Fame day, the group of 7. And their ceremony coming up.
Halftime in Hamilton. Welcome to Ram at the Half. Brought to you by the all-new Ram 1500 Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year. Another winning season for Ram. And back at field level here at Tim Hortons Field in the northeast corner, we welcome you, the BC Lions, leading the Hamilton Tiger Cats 21-19. Rod Smith along with us. Rod Black talked about the Hall of Fame panel, Milt Stegall, Matt Dunnigan, and from a future class, Henry Burris as well. We're talking about the current class. First, though, as we wait the ceremonies to get started, surprise BC's leading this game?
Surprise. I think they're surprised. And we talk about that offensive line, what we've been talking about. And they've given up 2 sacks, but they've played fairly well in this first half. Not only protecting Mike Riley, but also open up some holes for John White. So if they can continue this in the second half, they have a great opportunity to win this game.
Yeah, John White's pounding it, running with a purpose. I love that. Takes a little pressure off that offensive line, as you know, have some balance. But I think that's been the difference. They've been kind of keeping them upright, keeping them fairly clean, and that's the difference. You got Mike Riley. You keep him clean, you're going to be in every ball game he plays in.
Well, Dane Evans and that offense, they need to take more shots downfield because the opening drive, who they score on? A seam route. Right. And this is a defense that gives up almost 300 yards passing per game and 74% completion percentage. So they need to take some shots, stretch this field because they got the horses that can do it.
Hank, they had Speedy B. He just underthrew it by 10 yards, you know, late in that second quarter. And to your point, go over the top.
Yeah, take some shots.
And now, as a guy who considers himself a CFL historian, I love this moment, everything that you guys have done for the game. And I know you love to see that the greats of the past get honored as well as they are now. Inducted last night to be honored again today as the busts are unveiled here in the field at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. And this is also the site of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. 7 new members, and the first one honored, actually the one being honored posthumously, Ernie Pitts, who played predominantly for Winnipeg from 1957 to 69. Guys, consider this. The first part of his career was as a receiver, and the latter part of his career, he moved over to defensive back. He came in 1957 under the legend you see there in the right, Bud Grant. That Bomber team was unstoppable. They won the Grey Cup 4 times in a 5-year period, and Ernie Pitts was a big part of it.
Yeah, when I first got to Winnipeg, I didn't know much about the CFL, didn't know much about Winnipeg, but the one person that I would hear people talk about a lot was Ernie Pitts because of what you talked about, Rod, his versatility. The fact that he played DB for 5 years, receiver for 5 years, and he did it very well. I mean, that was truly shocking that he was able to do that. So it's great that he's able to go into the Hall of Fame this year.
You talk to some of his classmates that are going with him, Terry Greer, to David Williams, and to Mervin Fernandez, and they are just like Ernie Pitts was a beast. You know, they got so much respect for him.
And that is, sorry, Henry, that's Ernie Pitts Jr., his son. Ernie Sr., sadly, was killed back in 1970, just at the end of his CFL career.
Yeah, and that's definitely sad and tragic. But the part I'm thankful for is that when you talk to David Williams and a number of the different Hall of Famers that are being inducted this year, they talk about what guys like Ernie Pitts did for them, what Ernie Pitts did for myself, for Milt Stegall as a black athlete who wrote record books. But the fact that he was able to play not only one professional position, but play wide receiver and defensive back and win multiple Grey Cup championships starting back in the 1950s, that's definitely something that myself I look up to, and I say thanks just for what he did for paving the way for guys like myself.
Ernie Pitts Jr. Coming out, and I'm sure a very emotional time too, losing his father at a very early age. He was in 1970, his final year with the BC Lions. Ernie Pitts, after spent all those years with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Bud Grant, Kenny Plain era, and it's nice to see, Matty, and I know you're on the selection committee, players that were so great long ago, but still there's no time limitation on honoring them now.
Well, and we changed that several years ago in the collective bargaining agreement, or excuse me, our terms of reference, and I can tell you that we're getting it right, because there is no time limit now, and if somebody's slipped through the cracks, they're still eligible.
Henry, there's an old teammate of yours, John Cornish, not just one of the greatest Canadian running backs the CFL's ever seen, greatest running backs, period, one of them.
You hit the nail on the head there, Rod. I mean, if it wasn't for just injuries, concussions, I mean, this young man could still be playing today. Yes. He's in fabulous condition, in fabulous shape. I remember when he walked into our first meeting in 2007, this young, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed kid, he had more hair than what he currently has back in 2007, but you could tell this kid was something special. He had a little dirt on his shoulders, he had a little grit in his teeth. He was one of those guys who came in and felt that, man, give me the ball right now. However, just as Matt knew, as you knew, Milt, there was a guy named Joffrey Reynolds, so he was going to have to bide his time. And so we had to talk to him to get him up there to sing, to do what rookies do. But look, for him actually taking coaching, listening to the vets, it's paid off quite well.
It's funny you bring that up, because at the end of my career, that was the beginning of his career. And the beginning of his career, he wasn't playing running back. He was playing special teams, but he was a monster on special teams, running down on kickoffs, returning whatever he had to do. And then when he got that position for running back, hey, he's a Hall of Famer now.
Well, there's a receiver that I know I could appreciate as a fan in the early 80s, Matty, when your career was just getting started. Thoughts on Swervin' Mervin Fernandez of the BC Lions?
He gave us a lot of nightmares, he and Roy DeWalt, his quarterback for many years. It was just, this guy was unstoppable. He was so smooth, and he was just, you couldn't cover him, and he had all the parts that you risk for in a receiver. He was fast, he was fluid, he understood the game, he was tough, and he was a route runner, and he had great hands.
You look at his numbers, and they're great. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But I would love to see his numbers if he would have spent his entire career in that CFL. I mean, after he had the great career in the CFL, he went down, he had a great career
with the Raiders.
In the NFL, exactly, with the Raiders. 1 year he was a leading receiver on that team, and then he came back up for a year. But imagine if he would have spent 13 years in the CFL, what he would have done. His numbers are great, almost 7,000 yards, almost 400 receptions, 58 touchdowns. Those are Hall of Fame worthy numbers.
I'm gonna tee you up here,
what
Milt.
would he have done if he would have spent all this year?
I'm gonna tee you up here, Milt. You may not be the greatest of all time.
It's his day, so I won't say anything.
Okay. Nice.
And you know what Doug Brown would tell me, Milt? You were good, but he was the best, because Doug grew up in Vancouver. He's saying he was the best.
Well, guys, let me tell you about when the Toronto Argonauts were a struggling team. They hadn't won the Grey Cup in 31 years. They rebuilt that organization, coached by Bob Obilovich. They had Condredge Holloway at quarterback. They had Terry Greer at receiver. They won the Grey Cup, ending the drought in 1983, and he was a big part of it.
Yeah, born in Memphis, played his ball at Alabama State, offered both basketball and football scholarship down there, and Terry Greer lit it up here, guys. Look, the benchmark now for receivers is get 1,000 yards in a receiving, and you've had a great year. He had 2,003 yards.
He was the first pro player, right?
In 16 games, not 18 like we play now.
But you know what's even more impressive about that year, Matt? He had 3 games in a row over 200 yards.
Wow.
That is crazy.
I didn't eat the hash marks down the middle of the football field wore off by the time the ball game was over when Terry Greer was playing, because he was just burning up and down the hash marks and absolutely torching defenses down the seams.
And now let's keep it real. His first 2 years here in the CFL, he only had 58 catches to his first 2 years. But his next 2 years after hard work, 198 catches over the next 2 years for 3,469 yards.
Again, only 6 seasons up here, and just like Mervin Fernandez. And I tell you guys, that was a stumbling block for these guys not to be in earlier in their careers. But finally, we got over that in the selection committee and righted it wrong. And these guys are justifiably in because they were special.
Here's Jim Hobson. longtime leader of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, chief executive there. Henry, you were there for a brief time with the Riders. Remember the influence that Jim Hobson had on that team.
When he walked into that administration and took over the Saskatchewan Roughriders, you saw an immediate change.
Yes.
Because we were always that team that had the talent. We were always so close. We always wanted to get one step further. Well, as you can see where that organization is currently, he's taken this organization 10 steps further. They appeared in 4 Grey Cups after he took over in 2004. Of course, they won in 2007 and 2013, and have been awaited for a long time, since 1989. That face right there will not only be remembered here, be immortalized here in the Hall of Fame, but you can know you can go in any corner of Saskatchewan and mention the name of Jim Hobson, and people will always mention, regardless of the success, he's always stayed the same. One of the most fabulous men to ever be involved in the game of football.
And you hear a lot of young kids now use the word culture, and that's what he did for that organization. He changed the culture there. He made it cool to go to the games, to be around the Rough Riders, to be around the organization, and they haven't been the same since. They've been thriving every single year.
And here was our pregame panelist, David Williams. Tremendous years, and so many of them with a quarterback by the name of Matt Dunnigan. You guys did magic in BC and Toronto and Winnipeg, Matty.
Yeah, you know, I knew he was special. I looked at his frame, and I saw him move, and then we just kind of synced up, and it was one of those things where it was rapport from the beginning, and I just knew that I had to have him in the huddle with me. I would look at a defense, and he would look at it the same way, and I'd spot a ball, and he'd go get it. There's nothing he could do on the football field, and he's tough as nails. He'd go after D linemen, linebackers, didn't matter. He was a beast on the football field. I knew where he'd be every time, and I didn't have problems cutting it loose when that guy's on the field.
Now, we kind of got a sense of his competitive nature. You just mentioned it there, but was that kind of the part about him that made him become the great receiver, one of the greatest to ever play the game?
He was a bad dude. He was a bad dude. He didn't take nothing from anybody, but he dished it out often, and I had to keep David on track because, you know, he didn't like to work too hard, but he would play hard, right? And, you know, I was like, as a quarterback, you know, I'm like, hey, come on, man, we got to pick it up. Let's get some reps, get some full-speed reps going. And on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, man, David was half-stepping, right? And that really got me going. And I tell you, but come game time, that guy lit it up, fellas.
And that man is Frank Smith, one of the legends in Canadian university football. UBC Thunderbirds for 21 seasons. That's a school record. I remember one team in particular back when I was just finishing up in college at Queens. The UBC Thunderbirds won the Venia in '82. They beat Western that year. They pretty well destroyed every team they played. You talk about praise. 47 players he coached in college went on to play in the CFL, and I think that's very high praise.
The fans right here are recognizing his greatness, a standing ovation right now, and much deserved. And you talk about guys that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and, you know, certainly, you know, people are counting the years and how long did it take for this guy to go in, and that guy was a Hall of Famer every time he took the football field.
Well, you know, a lot of the great programs now, you hear a lot of the great coaches from Greg Marshall to a number of guys coast to coast, and they talk about just the legacy that he left and gave coaches in the future the blueprint of what to do and how to develop players to get to the next level.
7 new inductees into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, so richly deserved. We're at the half with the Lions leading the Tiger Cats by 2. The new Ram Heavy Duty, the most capable heavy-duty pickup ever, always ready for the second half. Before the second half begins, this courtesy our studio producer, Slurpee Boy, the 7-Eleven player rankings, and this time we're looking at rookies. John Crockett leads the way, the Red Blacks, Lucky Whitehead of Winnipeg, Devontae Dedman, also of Ottawa, Quan Bray of Montreal, a very talented receiver. Nate Hawley, like what we see from the Stampeders, Hawley, Vontae Diggs of the Eskimos, and Robertson Daniel, also of Calgary. If you have issue with the order or the names on it, we'll be discussing a little later this week on SportsCenter. Let's go back upstairs now for the second half. Rod Black and Dwayne Ford.
All right, Rod, thanks. Under the Bella Luna tonight, and great job at halftime with the panel, and what a special ceremony honoring 7 great ones. Contributions to Canadian football, newest members of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Here's Ryan Langford, cutting back and chased down brought out of bounds. Mike Riley with a 2-point lead. Hasn't had too many leads this season. His team 1-6.
Well, one of the things that stands out about Mike Riley's performance in the first half, 3 for 3 on deep balls. The BC Lions are a team that, with guys like Brian Burnham, Duron Carter, the speed of Shaq Johnson, they like to try and push the football down the field a little bit when they get the opportunity. They've had the running game going tonight, which has allowed Mike Riley a little bit more time, as the defense isn't just in pass rush mode when they think they've got to defend the run. He's been able to get those deep balls off, and Brian Burnham has made a couple terrific catches.
His horses in front of him have helped out a lot. Those Clydesdales, that O-line, Lamar Durant. Mike Riley just seems more comfortable here, and that hasn't been the word around Mike Riley, which is a rarity. You always seem to think about the poise, but maybe the word has been frustration early in the season.
Yeah, well, he's had to have his head on a swivel for the season to date. Constantly under pressure.
First and 10. Wind has died down here in the second half. And there's John White, who has been a beast here tonight. Like the ball was loose, but the whistle had blown. John White has been such a factor for the balance for this Lions offense.
Here you'll see John White bounce off a contact, run through arm tackles. He's got that low center of gravity. Keeps the legs driving. You got to get low, you got to wrap them up. John White averaging over 10 yards a pop. 9 carries, 94 yards for him thus far.
And 2 touchdowns in this game. Right into Hamilton's side of the field. Riley throwing this one up for Burnham.
He lost it.
He lost it in the lights, it looked like. And Brian Burnham.
Yeah, he had a shot at that one, but I don't think he saw it coming.
There is a flag down on that far side, which might signal interference or contact. That was right, it looked like, into that bank of lights. Brian Burnham with the chuckle. Laughing yesterday about Mike Riley and the wardrobe that Mike always has there. That's what it looks like, trying to catch a football in that.
Illegal contact upgraded to defensive pass interference. Hamilton, number 4. This will be a 10-yard penalty with an automatic first down.
So moot point, it still is a first down. Let's take a look at what Burnham saw.
Burnham versus Leonard. You'll see Richard Leonard wants to get hands on. He just rides him a little too long. Hands come up high. So originally, you've got your illegal contact beyond 5 yards. Burnham, as a targeted receiver, gets the call upgraded to pass interference. But as I said, whether it was the lights or just the fact that he didn't turn till the ball was in the air and had trouble locating it, didn't react until the last second, as he did not see that ball coming in.
Wayne Moore carries the rock. Jagarrett Davis. And Mike Riley always wears those hats in the interview or in the walk-through day. Take a look at the ref view from Al Bradbury.
Yeah,
this play.
Big bodies on the move here. Got the puller Foucault coming from the backside to lead the way.
And Riley really is fashion conscious. He makes everybody look bad. But Burnham was saying that because of the way he's dressing, everybody is kind of following suit, and it's kind of changing the culture within the team as well.
Stepping up their game.
Stepping it up.
Taking pride in all they do.
Flag down far side. This one will not
Offside.
get off.
Hamilton, number 56. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
5-yard penalty, second and short. And this is where the Lions also have been establishing their attack here tonight on first down, and penalties have helped, but second and short. 2nd and 2 now.
Yeah, you look at this penalty call, by the way, that caught Jagarrett Davis a couple times on offsides. I know they caught Simone Lawrence on one where he's trying to time up a blitz. We don't always hear the cadence, but I suspect that as one of their mechanisms or one of their strategies to try and manage the pass rush, that they're changing up those snap counts a little bit.
2nd and 2. John White shaken and bacon. Another flag in the backfield. As White just got to that 2nd level, that's when that flag flew, and it looks like it's against BC.
Number 68. 10-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
That will erase that. Ryan Chu unhappy this time.
And this one goes against left guard David Foucault. Got beaten across his face by Adrian Tracy, slicing inside. Had to wrap him up. That's right at the point of attack. An easy call for the officials. Tracy mixing it up a little bit, going inside on that one.
Impressive drive.
Montreal product off guard.
Impressive drive, Dwayne, and it's continuing here. Burnham down inside the 20, 40, almost 4 minutes off the clock. Hamilton's offense not on the field yet here in the 2nd half.
Well, keep an eye here. Brian Burnham, the middle receiver of those 3. Burnham having a big day. Right here, drives the defender off the line. Keep an eye, top of the line here. Adrian Tracy just gets underneath Joel Figueroa. Mike Riley lucky to get that one off.
Lions have been good in the red zone here. Ryan Langford on the jet sweep, cutting back, and Langford makes something out of nothing, but maybe a yard or 2. Brian Burnham already over 100 yards tonight. 102 yards on just 3 catches, including highlight reel catch late in the 1st half.
Yeah, well, as we mentioned, part of the Lions' success in the 1st half was that they were hitting on those deep balls, which hasn't always been the case this year. A couple of them to Brian Burnham, including for BC's first touchdown of the ballgame.
First touchdown, his first of 2019. Different looking Lions club here in week 9. Riley going end zone for Deron Carter. Another penalty flag right at the line of scrimmage on both sides. Ron Carter down the rail in the end zone with Tunde Adeleke.
Hamilton, number 56, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
Garrett Davis jumpy here.
There's Garrett Davis from his defensive end spot.
Yeah.
Caught leading again.
2nd and manageable once more. 10th play of the drive. Almost 5.5 minutes on the clock. Dane Evans, ice cold on that sideline, hasn't been out yet. Hamilton offense, Riley out to White. John White spinning after going down. Simone Lawrence. And another flag in the end zone, which might mean contact or interference in the score area, but away from the ball. Lamar Durant was in that area.
We'll see Durant coming out of the slot.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Hamilton, number 4. After Simpson's goal, this will make this a 1st down.
And it was in the end zone. It'll make it 1st down.
Okay, guys, Hamilton, let's get you back on.
Well, Richard Leonard, the halfback, number 4, is going to pick up Lamar Durant on this one.
Just at the goal line. Never like those penalties. Coaches hate when it's not even near the play.
And it's...
So now, Lions look to make the Cats pay. Slant to Carter.
And they're going to get the call.
And another interference call here. And this will take it down to the 1. Penalties, penalties, penalties.
Hamilton, number 25. Foul in goal. The ball will be placed at the 1 yard line automatic.
1 yard line now. Jamal Roll on Carter.
Yeah, here's your matchup. Carter's trying to get inside. Roll wants to take away that throwing lane.
That's the call.
They kind of hooked that back arm before the ball came.
6th penalty on the drive. Mike Riley with the touchdown. Riley, his 3rd rushing touchdown of the season. 13 rush touchdowns last year in Edmonton. This drive took up so much clock, so much real estate, and helped by a lot of penalties.
Yeah, penalty aided in a big way. 12 plays, 80 yards, nearly 6.5 minutes. 6:23 off the clock for the BC Lions on that drive, keeping Dane Evans and the Hamilton Tiger Cats sidelined.
Castillo hooked this, missed it.
It remains a 1-score ball game with that missed extra point.
Could be costly, we'll see, but now an ice-cold offense has to come on the field. Haven't been on the field since the first half. Mike Riley scores. The Lions open up their biggest lead. BC Lion fans traveling well here. Hall of Fame weekend. Those two are sitting together. Cats now have not been on the field. Reverse to Marcus Tucker goes nowhere. So Dane Evans and his offense finally on the field here. Almost to the midway point of the 3rd quarter. Lions lead by 8.
Well, the BC Lions ate up over 6 minutes on the clock. With a terrific touchdown drive, John White continues to be a monster as he approaches 100 yards on the ground. Brian Burnham is over 100 through the air. The Hamilton Tiger Cat penalties, certainly part of the story on that one. 6 penalties on the drive, which culminated in that Mike Riley quarterback sneak for the Major.
Dane Evans comes out throwing, slinging it out to Brandon Banks, who opened scoring for the Hamilton Tiger Cats here tonight. First drive of the game, and really has been kind of quiet since, still suffering from that turf toe injury.
Yeah, and you wonder if that has contributed, as we mentioned, the focus on Braylon Addison offensively. Shuffle on the offensive line, by the way. Riker Matthews is out. Kay Okafor goes to left tackle. Jesse Gibbon, number 2 overall pick in this year's draft. Hamilton native is now in at right guard. It's a Waterloo product. Still wearing black and gold. Attended Sherwood Secondary School here in Hamilton before becoming a Waterloo Warrior.
Hamilton, not a lot of first downs since the end of the 1st quarter. Just 3. BC with 12, and they've owned the clock. Evans from his back foot, though. And Jalen Acklin celebrating his birthday tonight. 24 years old, has his first catch of the night, a clutch one at that.
Dane Evans not appearing to show any rust after sitting on the sidelines for a while.
Well, it's been in his DNA. He's been sitting on the sideline for a couple of years and has been chomping at the bit, you know, waiting his time. And unfortunately for Jeremiah Masoli and the Cats, that injury means he's out for the season. Dane Evans, it's your time, and he has told us, you know, sat in the background, learned a lot, listened. Orlando Steinauer telling us yesterday, you know, he's ultra competitive. You have to tame him down a little bit, the great Dane. Dane throwing. That one's short of Luke Tasker. And that will bring out the kick team.
From a Hamilton perspective, points aside, maybe want a little bit longer drive. They moved the ball a bit, but you want a little bit longer drive after BC has had your defense on the field for 6 minutes. You want to get that defensive unit a little bit of a blow.
Hamilton offense that has kind of sputtered since that opening drive, really. Special teams adding to the scoring. Frankie Williams return. Ryan Langford stonewall downfield. 27-19, Mike Riley's Lions on Hall of Fame weekend.
Sad note in the football world, particularly on Hall of Fame weekend here in Hamilton, as the Canadian football community lost a legend last week. Jim Dunleavy, longtime coach at the University of Alberta. At one time, in fact, the former commissioner of the Western Hockey League. Jim Dunleavy, for many years, a member of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame Selection Committee. Passed away, one of the all-time good guys in the world of football, a true gentleman.
Our condolences to the Dunleavy family and all those that knew Jim so well. Riley comes up gunning. Lamar Durant and a beauty catch.
Absolutely fearless, going across the middle to make this one. You know, the BC Lions talk about the fact that in their room, despite the struggles in the early season, that there is belief, that there's a commitment to each other, that they're sticking together. Lamar Durant going up and getting a ball like that.
Case in point.
There's no question. If you thought you had no chance, if you thought it was over, if you had given up on your team or teammates, they'll let that one go and avoid the contact.
Mike Riley, really for the first time, maybe since early in the season, and that first win that the Lions had, and it was a slim win down the road in Toronto. Mike Riley starting to look like the Mike Riley that we've seen over the last few years.
Well, and I would say the BC Lions offense as a whole starting to look a little bit more like what was expected coming into the season. They seem much more in sync. You go back to the win against Toronto, even in that game, everything seemed to be a grind, seemed to be a struggle for them.
Now they got to hang on to this lead. Duron Carter. Like that, Javon Catoy. Catoy with the hurdle there. He's got his second catch of the night. Riley operating high percentage so far, uses the big former junior star.
Can you tell Nick Lewis is coaching on those BC Lions sidelines?
Nick Lewis, master of the hurdle. There he is.
Nick Lewis, first year as a coach, working with the running backs.
All-time leading CFL receiver for catches. There goes John White once more. It has been White's night for the BC Lions. Another big gain, another first down.
Yeah, watch the work of the right side of this offensive line. You've got Suk Chung and newcomer Justin Renfro working over there as John White goes over 100 yards on the day. Makes himself skinny. He's through the hole. Boom, boom. There's that lane. Turn it north-south, and John White, not the biggest body, but always delivers a blow on contact.
Lions haven't had many leads early in this season, trying to add some cushion here as Shaq Johnson hauls this in, again making this very manageable on second down.
Watch the work here as he picks up the middle linebacker. Justin Tuggle, the cut block, forces the pass rusher to get his hands down out of that pass lane. You see that's right where Riley's going with the ball. John White recognizes what the launch point is. He knows he's got to get those hands down for his quarterback. Terrific job.
This is an easy second down. Makes you wonder here if they might go after one here. It's second and inches. They're inside that red zone, inside the 20. Riley looks to throw. That's what he's doing here. Riley with time. And easy first down, Lamar Durant. Turning, and they'll go first and goal. Now 12 of 15 on second down tonight. That is a huge improvement. Before tonight in the red zone, they were 8 of 16 coming in.
Tonight, a perfect 3 of 3. Great escape move by Lamar Durant there, getting off the spot. This guy was an absolute monster during his college career at Simon Fraser. Man against boys. Really came back north to Simon Fraser after starting his career at the University of Nevada, where he battled injuries a little bit.
Looking end zone once more. Flag down, Duron Carter with Richard Leonard. Flag right at the line of scrimmage on 1st and goal, with the time ticking down here in the 3rd quarter. Looks like it's against the Lions. We'll move them back.
Holding, BC, number 50, 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
Still first down, but no longer 1st and goal. Well, it's 1st and goal, but it's a long way to go. Back near the 18-yard line.
Watch the center here, Philip Norman. Dylan Wynn is coming on a stunt from the right side of your screen. All the way across the face on the center, catches it.
BC has owned the football in this quarter. Riley calls his own number. Taken off now. Justin Tuggle got to him first. It'll be 2nd and goal now from the 12 to put it in the air.
What a big mission accomplished, Rod. As you mentioned, the time of possession in this 3rd quarter. One of the things you want to do when you're against the wind, as the Hamilton Tiger Cats have been, you want to be the ones eating up the clock. You want to control that ball and limit the other team's opportunity with the wind at their back, limit their number of plays. And the BC Lions have had the ball for over 11 minutes here in 3rd quarter.
9th play of the drive, another 2nd down conversion here. Riley with a drop, looking over the top, and Catoy down at the 5-yard line. And yet another play. Has there been one play that has not, one series that hasn't gone by with more than 2 plays without a penalty? That is slowing this down to a crawl here in this 3rd quarter.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Hamilton, number 97. Half distance from the completion of this pass. Automatic first down.
Automatic first. 1st and goal once more now near the 3-yard line. Ted Laurent. Smack on Mike Riley. You have to think this not only affects Hamilton's offense, but their D. They've got to be gassed right now.
Well, there's no question that it's a combination of factors.
Riley high snap. Jagarrett Davis wrestles him down.
And that play looked like it might have been intended to go to John White on the handoff, but a high snap. Again, Philip Norman making his first start at center. That high snap kind of throws off the timing in the backfield. So Riley, to accelerate things, skips the handoff and just takes it himself.
Look at the time of possession. Over 12 minutes for BC. They own the clock, they own the ball. Here's a guy who owned the ball. One of the great nicknames of all time, Swervin Mervin Fernandez, Hall of Famer, will join us next, heading to the 4th in Hamilton. Heading to the 4th quarter with the BC Lions leading, and one of the greatest Lions, one of the greatest receivers in CFL history, Mervin Fernandez. Look at the numbers, the awards, the All-Stars, the Grey Cups, and now the jacket and the bust. Swervin Mervin Fernandez, you're now a member of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame.
I'm in the Hall of Fame, baby. Hey, you're not getting it back either.
and did you ever even imagine when you were playing here that this would be coming to you someday?
Never thought. Never thought. Thought was to win games, and basically that was it. Do my job out on the field, catch everything that was thrown to me, make every route, you know, perfect, and that was it. You know, this was always a long distance thing. You know, I'll be 60 this year, right? So It's been a while since I've been back near this field.
You could still play at 60.
People keep telling me that, but it hurts getting out of the bed sometimes. I can't imagine getting up out of the field.
Now, in a career filled with highlights, is there any memory that really stands out for you at this time?
You know what? You guys caught some really good highlights of me on the board tonight, and that game stands out in my mind. The Winnipeg game, the playoff game, when I ran that one in and made Haley spin around a little bit there and got that touchdown. And
hence the name Swervin. Let's follow the Lions now. Mike Riley looking for pay dirt, and touchdown Brian Burnham, who I think has been kind of honoring you tonight because he's had a couple of great catches.
He's done well.
Yeah, and the BC Lions extend.
They're looking good.
Yeah, extend their lead.
33-19.
And they'll
go BC.
I guess you never lose that fandom.
Never. The first game that when I retired from football and someone took me to a Raider game, I thought I was going to have a heart attack because I was sitting in the stands, and back then I walked down on the field and told the security guard who I was, and he let me on the field, thank God, or else I'd have lived. I literally, my heart was pounding out of my chest. I had so much energy just from sitting there watching these guys getting ready to play, and it was the first game in my life that I had ever seen in the stands. I've always been on my father. I'd never been to a pro game. So it was energy like I had never felt. It was crazy.
Well, now you told the story last night. You were 20 years old.
20 years old.
In your rookie year.
Married with a son.
What was that adjustment like for you, and with that pressure to support your family as well?
It was, it wasn't so much pressure. It was pressure for me to go out and prove myself. You know, I'm in an unfamiliar environment, but I knew football, and I knew that I could play football. And that's all I needed was a chance.
Here he goes, Swerve. Here it is, Swerve.
That's the play right there. We're actually friends on Facebook, and he texted me and said, well, thank God I'm not in your highlight film for the thing, and then I come here, and he's in the highlight film. So I'm sure I'm going to get a little grief for that. I had nothing to do with it, Charles.
34-19 right now.
That sounds good.
Who gave you Swervin?
Wow. So high school quarterback Jack Overstreet, as a freshman, gave me the name Swervin. Don't know where it came from, don't know how he thought of it, but he told me, and I asked him, why did you call it, where did the Swervin come from? And he's like, dude, I just watch you run and you're all swerving all over the field. So you start calling me Swervin Mervin. Uh-oh, there we go. Pick it up.
It's a live ball. And
Hamilton got it back.
Able to get it back.
They're in the hole there. Yeah, that's where Swervin came from. My high school quarterback, Jack Overstreet, Andrew Hill High School. Yeah.
Here is another look, and it was a live ball. Marcus Tucker. Now, you watch a lot of CFL games still?
I get to see the games that come on Friday night. And I only really, you know, to be biased, watch the BC games. So I do see some of the games on, if they're on Friday night, I will watch them, absolutely.
Well, maybe they know you're in the building tonight. It hasn't been easy to watch early in the season, but maybe the Lions could be turning the corner here the way they're looking tonight. Let's go to Dane Evans again, trying to get Hamilton back. Evans chucking and unable to find Mike Jones. What's your greatest catch all time? One that you, never mind yards after catch, but the catch that you made, that highlight reel catch.
I don't know. I mean, there's been several, but I have to think about that one. You know what? We were actually playing Toronto, and I had my man beat. We were in Toronto. They were in their new stadium, and I pulled one in with one hand, and you know, back then one-hand catch was like, oh, you must be God or something. How'd you do that? You know, but it was a touchdown, so it was good stuff.
Here's Evans once more, rolling and almost picked off.
Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, Players in this day and age, these guys are all connected to each other through social media and everything else. It's so easy for them to be in touch with their peers. I saw you and Terry Greer got to spend a lot of time together and chat last night. Was that really kind of the first opportunity you guys have had to connect for two guys that were really rivals?
That was the first time I had spent any time with Terry.
Really?
And so, you know, other than us saying good game after the game, that was it. So it's really been an awesome experience to meet him and his family and his kids, and mine, and, you know, it's been a great weekend. Absolutely.
They boot it out. They don't give up two. Ryan Langford doing his own swerving, flag down. Now, not only did you have a great career here north of the border, but of course you were a Raider.
Raiders.
You know, you're once a Lion, always a Lion. Yeah. Once a Raider, always
a Raider.
A Raider. And you put up some extraordinary numbers with the Raiders as well.
Still involved with them. Still go to every home game. We have a program that I and a couple other guys started. We're the ambassadors of the alumni, and we have about 15 guys also that come in from different areas, and we go through the stadium and visit the people in the suites and shake hands and take pictures, and the Raiders take care of us, and they said that it's going to keep going and get bigger when we go to Las Vegas to the new stadium. I'll be back here next week to do some media blitz stuff next Wednesday, I think, and then I'll be back for the game. They're flying me out to come to the game 21st, 23rd. Yeah, so, you know, they take care of us. Like you said, once a Raider, always a Raider. A lot of teams try to pattern themselves after our camaraderie, after our alumni program, because we are really strong.
I want you to take us inside the world of Al Davis.
I don't know if you can handle that.
Just win, baby.
Al was a great coach, but he was also an owner, so he had that presence of when you see him straighten up, you know, the boss is in the room, but yet he would be out there calling plays, stopping, starting stuff, and yeah, he was a good man. He took care of me and my family, and I can't thank him enough. And now the son's got the team, and we're just keeping the dream alive.
Speaking of dreams, you're a young boy, you dream about playing the game, and you play the game right, you play your cards right, you someday end up in a Hall of Fame. What does it mean to now be known as a Canadian Football Hall of Famer?
It's amazing. It absolutely is amazing. I got a little choked up when I did my speech the other night, and, you know, feelings came out, and I'm so pleased and honored and humbled to be in this Hall of Fame, Canadian Hall of Fame. And it's just, you know, it's unbelievable to me, and it all really didn't sink in until I actually got here. You know, things just...
Picked off, and Tunde Adeleke could be a turning point here.
Mark and his whole crew did an amazing job for this weekend, and, you know, like I said, just the camaraderie just came back from the players that, you know, I played with.
We watched you play. We still have YouTube. You are one of the greats and a great guy as well. Welcome back.
Thank you very
home,
much.
The Hall of Fame.
I love it. Thank you.
Swervin Mervin Fernandez.
Thank you very much. All my pleasure.
Cats turn it over. Needed it. Mervin's Lions leading. 5 players, 2 builders, including Jim Hopson, who did so many great things with the Saskatchewan Roughriders through the years. He's with Matthew Shinetti.
It's my pleasure, Rod, to be alongside Jim Hopson. And Jim, you and I were speaking just a little while ago. I've been to South Korea, I've been to Maui in Hawaii, I've been all around the world, and everywhere I go, I see the green and white of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's almost as ubiquitous as the Canadian flag. In the years since that you've been involved with the Riders and being the president and CEO, what has that symbol become across the world?
It's really something. It's an iconic symbol. I'm like you. I've been in Korea. I've been in Spain. I've been in Mexico. And not only that, they even recognize an old offensive lineman. It's like, who does that? But, you know, it's really good. It says so much about the brand and about our fans.
And about the work that you did with the club to take it to that place where it's among the symbols of the Canadiens and the Maple Leafs. But really, do you think one of your greatest accomplishments is that new Mosaic Stadium and being the crown jewel, not just in Canadian football, but Canadian sports as well?
It's a tremendous accomplishment. Many people who have contributed. I still feel best about the change in attitude, going from lovable losers to a team that people expect to win. I think that was so important. But, you know, the brand is so strong. The fans are great. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished.
And as you go around the world and you talk to fans who come up to you, what is the message that you keep hearing from those Rider fans, knowing how this brand and this team has evolved?
Keep it going. They want to go back to the Grey Cup. They want to see the CFL succeed. They really are CFL fans, not just Rider fans.
Congratulations, Mr. Hobson. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks to Matt. Mr. Hobson, Braylon Addison brings it down close, and so that turnover by Tunde Adeleke, and leading to this drive now. First and goal come the Hamilton Tiger Cats as they come charging back here in Hall of Fame night.
And you saw kind of the double unders there as Dane Evans threads the needle.
Here comes some razzle-dazzle. Luke Tasker throws for Dane Evans.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, a Hamilton special. That one doesn't work. Now it's second and goal.
So we've seen Addison take the snap a number of times tonight. Addison to Banks to Tasker.
That would have worked. That just needed to be thrown a little lower.
Or a taller quarterback.
Key play here on second down. Have to think that the Cats at this stage might play 3-down football. Down 15. Evans throws. Oh, up high goes Luke Tasker. Penalty flag at the goal line. We've had a lot of interference and contact calls here tonight. Is this another?
We'll have a look and see.
Offside. Hamilton.
Offside.
Number 86. Penalties decline. Third down.
Third down now. Will they take the points? Yes, they are taking the points with 10 to go. Hairolahu comes out, and that's the second time tonight that the Cats have been this close to punching it in and having to settle for field goals.
Yeah, and both situations. In the first one, they're about the 3-yard line. This one just outside the 5. You know, they're not quarterback sneak range.
And you know that reverse throw to Evans that was incomplete could be costly right now. Tasker thought he had it, didn't. 34-22 the score on Hall of Fame weekend in the Hammer. Back in Hamilton, celebrating the best of the Canadian Football League and Canadian Football Hall of Fame weekend. Hamilton Tiger Cats missing a chance there. First and goal. End up with a field goal. Down 12. Mike Riley's done a great job bleeding the clock in the second half. Really throughout the whole game.
Yeah, they're going to want to do it even more now going against the wind. Now, when you're the Hamilton Tiger Cats, as we look at defensive coordinator Mark Washington, when you decide to take the field goal rather than going after the touchdown from in close, you're putting it on your defense, saying, we got to get stops. We can't allow another point in this ball game. You got to get us the ball back so we can go after it.
Riley throwing that pick. First turnover in a couple of games. Key second down, 2nd and 2. Riley pulls it back, dishing it off to Durant for the first down. You know, you go back to that trick play that didn't work. You know, Hamilton's used a lot in their bag of tricks here
they've been
tonight.
aggressive in terms of their play calling, so to speak. Very creative offensively and on special teams as well. That, you know, typically you kind of see maybe 1 or 2 things a week between offense and special teams, but the Ticats have almost made those so-called special plays part of their mainstream pass
routine. 8.5 to go, fourth quarter. Riley rolling. Burnham, monster night. Kind of swipes away Adeleke. Brian Burnham, well over the century mark here tonight.
Well, Ryan Burnham ends up wide open. Rico Murray right on the left edge of your screen. He's coming on the blitz and then realizes my guy's releasing. He's got to redirect, but he's caught inside and has to chase. By then, Burnham's got a big head start, an easy dump off for Mike Riley.
5 catches, 112. 2 major scores. Riley rolling, fakes the shovel now, throws it up. Jerron Carter, paws it, claws it, one-handed. And another second down conversion. And now Frankie Williams into it with Jerron Carter, and there's a late flag.
Yeah, and
Unsportsmanlike.
Let's see who the flag goes on.
There's that ever-present smile from Jerron Carter.
See Mike Riley with a little pump fake there to get Rico Murray out of his lane.
Here's what happened from the ref view.
A little nudge from Williams. First, Carter reacts. This is the thing, and I understand that emotion is part of Jerron Carter's game, to sort of play with that fire and get the competition going with the other team. But you got to pick your spots, and you've got to be able to know when to shut it off, right, and walk away from that.
Hall of Fame weekend here north of the border. Duran's Pops, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Live from the ref view, the Alcam.
After the play was over, major foul. Hamilton, number 37, 15-yard penalty. First down.
Well, maybe Jerron Carter didn't know when to walk away on that one.
Ron Carter, you just haven't seen him have that breakout game yet.
Look at those penalty yards for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 14 for 105.
It is again, and almost had the chokehold. And he did on DC. Carter still looking for his first touchdown as a Lion. Maybe on this drive. Might salt it away. John White buried by Tuggle. Yet another penalty flag down. Those whistles are getting a workout tonight.
Yeah, regardless of the outcome of this football game, there's not much doubt that discipline will be part of the discussion for the Hamilton Ticats post-game.
Cats off to Ottawa next week. BC again staying
holding
on the road.
BC,
Winnipeg
50.
on Thursday.
Penalties decline. Second down.
So one of the biggest plays right now in this game, second down, and the Lions have been almost unstoppable on second down tonight.
Yeah, 80%, 16 of 20. Has been their conversion rate on second downs.
You might not get a 16 for 20 for a month, but that's one game.
Yeah, they have looked like a very different offense tonight.
High snap, trouble for Riley. Ball on the turf, Jagarrett Davis. And a BC Lion bounce. Mike Riley looking to the sky, slow to get up here. Just hope he is okay.
Well, you know, we had
on the football.
Had an interesting chat pregame with Julio Caravata, radio voice, color man for the BC Lions.
Former quarterback.
Yeah, former CFL quarterback. And I asked him about Philip Norman at center. And the one thing he said to be aware of is they may have some trouble with the snaps. He said Norman, he snaps the ball hard. And sometimes it can be tough to handle. That one came in a little bit high. Tough to handle as you saw Riley's wrist kind of folded under there as the pileup happened, but we've seen a couple of snaps get away.
So Danny O'Brien won't be pressed into action here. It's third down. Riley's up, and that's good news this year of the return, but also the year of the injured starter. And Riley looks like his leg a little bit.
Yeah, he's hobbling.
Yeah, and it looked like when he turned, he kind of torqued his knee. And maybe also it was maybe injured while he was going back, and maybe Davis landed on that. The knee, is it the ankle? Just another starting quarterback on a trainer's table. We've seen too much of that in 2019. Keep in mind, Lions only have one backup. That's Kenny O'Brien.
Timer, could you please reset the
clock? You've got a few teams this year making that shift
44, please.
To only dressing 2 quarterbacks, which will become the rule next season.
6:44 to go. Frankie Williams changed the game as well for the Cats in the first half on a return for a touchdown. Record-breaking season for turns, almost blocked. They did well to stay away from Josh Bartell. Good kick by Bartell. Down near the 12, long field for Dane Evans, and yeah, a twisted ankle it looks like. Let's take a look. Mike Riley, see if he can return. There it is. Oh, makes you cringe. Cats ball when we come back. Of 2019 Canadian Hall of Fame Ernie Pitts. Played in the Bud Grant era. Ken Plain, there's 77. Made some magic on the field for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in his time. Posthumously inducted. And Ernie Pitts Jr., son of the Hall of Famer, with Matthew.
Yeah, Rod, it's my pleasure to be joined by Ernie Pitts Jr. Ernie, these last few days, looking at that bust of your father, the highlights, people telling you stories about him. How much more do you appreciate the legacy he had in the CFL?
I appreciate it because I can pass it on to the younger generations, the children out there, to see what it took to actually do the job that he did, the hard work he put into his craft, and these are learning experiences for the kids, my kids, and the other kids coming up through the generations as well.
And take us through maybe some of the stories you've heard about your father, or just watching the highlights. What more you've learned about your father as a player?
Well, I didn't realize how fast he was, first off, and that kind of surprised me. And the footage was really clear, and talking to other people said he was a great teammate and a great community guy, and the fans just loved him up here.
And looking at that bus, you had a chance to unveil it, take a look at it last night. What were your feelings?
Well, I wanted to cry, but it's a great job on the bust, and it just brought back a lot of memories, a lot of fond memories and stuff.
And does it make you appreciate the fact that he wasn't just successful as a receiver, but also as a defensive back as well?
Yeah, that's impressive because the fact that he had to change careers midway. He had a vision problem, and then he switched to defensive back, and the fact that he made it All-Star after that, and took his career to another level, just kind of really impresses me.
I know this might be difficult, but what do you think your father would have felt last night and tonight?
Well, he made the move up here from he was drafted by the NFL, and he knew that he could get a longer career up here, and so this is what he wanted. This is the end what he wanted. He wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. He wanted to play a long career, and that's what he wanted. So I'm very happy.
Ernie, thank you very much, and congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
An emotional time for son of Ernie Pitts. I thought one of the most poignant moments of the halftime ceremony, which was outstanding, was this moment. Watch this. This was son honoring Pops.
Yeah, stepping up on that podium, touching the bust.
Special night, special weekend, special people.
Yeah, great turnout, by the way, from Ernie Pitts' family here last night. Many members, and as Ernie Pitts Jr. said, generations.
Evans has Acklin again, and Jalen Acklin on his birthday, coming alive here in this fourth quarter with time ticking away. 29 yards and into BC territory. This game still very much in doubt.
And you'll see Acklin, what turns into a bit of a wheel route or an out and up. Just finds a soft spot between the two defenders along the sidelines. Dropped in there beautifully by Dane Evans.
Evans swings it out. Braylon Addison. Might we see some more Brandon Banks? We saw him early, only a couple of catches tonight, but that touchdown that started it, you know, he's the big playmaker. Kind of quiet. Then again, Hamilton hasn't had the ball very much. Keeping it on the ground for Cam Marshall. 7 different running back used by the Cats. Variety on their offense this year. And with Malik Irons, Sean Thomas, Erlington, all injured.
Yeah, Irons just going on the injured list this week.
4 minutes to go. Evans loads of time now. That pocket closes and wisely throws it away. Penalty flag down again, and this could be another contact call against the Lions, which will produce another first down. How many interference and contact calls have we had tonight?
Legal contact on the receiver, BC, number 4. 10-yard penalty. This will be a first down.
Gary Peters, cornerback, flagged.
Keep an eye on Peters out here. He'll be working against the wideout, Jalen Ackland, to that side. Subtle.
Keeping the drive going like the Cats did for the Lions. Odell Willis trying to get it to Dane Evans, can't. Who throws it? Coming back to the ball. There's Brandon Banks down near the goal line. Big play maker. 27. Now first and goal for Evans and the Cats.
Well, keep an eye one-on-one out in space. Brandon Banks. Rolling wide out to that side. Nice little comeback route to the outside as the quarterback was on the scramble.
So nothing there for Marshall. Stuffed. And second and goal.
Timeout.
Taking
Hamilton.
a timeout before a warning, which is to use that timeout, burn that. 3-minute warnings coming up, but you want to put it into the end zone here. Again, last time the Cats were down in this area. In fact, they've been down in this area a couple of times tonight.
3:22.
Had to settle for field goals.
You know, one consideration for the Hamilton Tiger Cats is we've seen them with, I don't even necessarily want to call them trick plays, but kind of having some different looks offensively.
Dane Evans coming to the sideline here.
David Watford.
David Watford, just recently acquired, comes into the game. Out of Hampton. Now, keep in mind, he hasn't touched the football all night. Behind center. And gets in! Touchdown!
It almost felt like he got pushed in by the defender making the tackle.
Don't go anywhere. 3-minute warning close by. Fireworks in the sky. And a 1-possession ball game.
Well, he looks like he's stopped. Just kept the legs moving. Fell forward as Aaron Grimes was trying to wrap him up.
So Watford gets a touch and a touchdown. They'll go for the 1 point after. This is hooked. And Lirim Hairelahu misses it. Would have made it a 5-point game. Doesn't necessarily figure in here. Mathematically, Hairelahu still thinking that actually made it inside the upright. But I'm looking at that video replay, and I don't think Lirim, if he saw the replay, would agree. Looked like he hooked that.
Yeah.
6-point game.
Yeah, and now, you know, the one point I was going to make about Hamilton doing some different things when they get in close. Among the injuries they've had this week, their fullback, Nikola Kalinic out of the lineup. He's the only fullback on their roster. Only fullback they have. They've got Cam Walker, backup defensive lineman, listed as a fullback on the depth chart, but Walker has never played the position in the Canadian Football League before.
That'd be
I don't think he ever played it at Guelph in college. And so they've had to adjust some of their packages simply because of that one injury, because you don't have another similar guy on your roster.
So now keep in mind, 3-minute warning coming up. Hamilton's done a good job defensively here in this fourth quarter. Need another couple stops, but Ryan Langford playing way up, and there's a last-minute substitution here. Hamilton didn't have enough players out. Langford is up near his 35, thinking short kickoff. But it's kicked deep, and he has to retreat to his 15. He's going to run a room. 25-yard line for Mike Riley. So the BC Lions look like they had this in control, and it's never easy in 2019 for the guys in orange.
Well, Mike Riley's going to hobble out there on that wonky ankle.
As you might expect.
Yes, we'd expect no different of number 13. Riley, pretty good night, completing 76% of his passes for 269 yards, couple touchdowns, interception off a deflected ball.
Likely last play before the 3-minute warning. Watch Jay Boys. Tim Hortons Field on its feet.
We'll see if John White and that offensive line can help Riley control the ball here down the stretch.
It's all about the Ticats D right now. Simone Lawrence, first contact, got to White, and then Tuggle finished him off. It's the 3-minute warning. It's a 6-point lead. And a critical second down coming up when we come back on Hall of Fame night at Tim Hortons Field. Crowd amps it up here in Hamilton. Second down for the BC Lions, who've been so good on second downs tonight. 2nd and 5. Will allow them to run the clock even more if they get it. If not, they give it back, and Riley's in trouble. Throws it. It's caught right at the first down marker. Brian Burnham and Riley limping again. Mike Riley somehow gets that away.
And gets the first down.
Huge first down with 2:22. Can run at least another 40 seconds for sure off this clock.
That was a biggie. They're very good on second downs all night long.
Another first down here. Might be able to seal it. John White spins. 4 or 5. Another crucial second. That other second down was big. This one's enormous. Riley limping and wincing. Trying to end a 3-game losing streak. Trying to get their second win of 2019. Hamilton trying to get the ball back. 17 of 22 in this situation tonight. Cats loaded up at center house. Riley's in trouble, and he is going to go down. Ted Laurent got there first. Black and gold sack.
Yeah, meeting in the quarterback.
And now the Lions have to boot it to the Cats, who have a chance to win it. Simone got there first.
The first guy to get there and wrap up that leg, so Riley couldn't escape.
Mike Riley, not sure he might be able to go if he had to come back out.
Yeah, Simone had him by that,
Timeout's
that right leg.
So a timeout here. 92 seconds remain. Wind, although it has died, with the Cats. They have to take it to the house. And if they do, they can win this ball game.
Look at Simone Lawrence clutching that right ankle. Making sure Mike Riley can't run. The rest of the troops arrive.
Dylan Wynn also smacking him down, and Riley in considerable pain. It's going to hurt worse.
Frankie Williams awaits the punt.
If the Cats can play comeback here in the fourth, down 15. Bartell with backspin. Williams, stutter step. Frankie Williams, sideline. Frankie Williams, foot race. Still on his feet, down inside the 25.
The punt was well placed by Bartell. He got it close to the sideline. They contained him. Watch how they contain him from getting to the field, but they give up the sideline. Everybody moves off the sideline.
Might have been a penalty there. No call. Williams has put the Cats in position to win.
The Lions were so concerned on this play with not letting Frankie Williams get to the wide field that they kind of over-covered in that direction and gave him a lane straight north-south.
So now Frankie Williams, who had a 108-yard touchdown earlier in the ball game, 252 return yards. Dane Evans, second straight start, third career start. A chance for his first W as a CFL starter, and it would be a fourth quarter comeback. Gotta put it into the end zone though. Evans going there, and great play by Aaron Grimes. Brandon Banks was there. Ball delivered a little late.
Yeah, well, on the long throw, little separation here, but watch how Grimes and Peters both have a chance to get in there. But Brandon Banks, you saw Banks tapping his chest right away. He felt he should have had that one.
Well, they went to the well there. They really only need 10 here. Another critical second down. Odell Willis off the edge. Evans and Banks scores! Touchdown, Brandon Banks! Ties the game. Dane Evans steps up, rises up big time. Minute two away if they can get the point after.
Watch the jump of Odell Willis coming off the edge. Okafor might have gotten away with one there. Dane Evans stands in, delivers the strike. Brandon Banks, quiet much of the night, but at clutch time.
Said my bad on that first one.
Yeah. Not
that time. Redemption. And they are looking at it at command. Cats with 5 straight second down conversions.
So there's the catch.
Does he survive? Whoa. Did he survive? And did he have his hand underneath? Right here.
The second he breaks the ball breaks the plane, though.
It's a touchdown.
So if he has possession when he breaks the plane, to me the rest is irrelevant. He's made the catch and taken a step.
Did he have full control of the ball as he was going to the goal line? That's what I'm sure they're looking at.
Yeah, close call.
Yeah, you have to break the plane, but you also have to have control. It's one of those 50-50s, perhaps. Look at here. Definitely broke the plane.
I mean,
see, that one looks like he had it.
Yeah, you can sort of see his left hand underneath the ball, his fingers underneath the ball, but we shall see.
Must be conclusive. You have to have.
Yeah, call on the field as a touchdown.
Evidence that takes it away. What a comeback by the Hamilton Tiger Cats if this stays. And by the way, there is still time for the BC Lions. The question is, can Mike Riley come back on the field?
Yeah.
And Riley is going to come back on the field and try to lead his team to victory. It's not over yet.
Touchdown stands.
Touchdown stands. Now, the extra point.
Yeah, they missed the last one.
And Hairolahu, remember, hooked that last one. Brandon Banks, monster night. 9 catches, 137, 2 touchdowns, and what might be the deciding one. Key here. This one is right through. And Hairolahu may have the winning point. And so now it's up to Riley and the Lions to put it into scoring position for Sergio Castillo.
Keep an eye on Brandon Banks, 4 receivers to the field. Works towards that corner. So much space for TJ Lee to cover. He's sitting on the inside. Late to get to that ball thrown out wide.
Well, again, if you've ever watched the CFL over the last few years, you know, this guy is Iron Man. Mike Riley. Bionic man. So now a chance for him to deliver another fourth quarter, last 2-minute comeback.
Yeah, and what to me has been BC Lions' best offensive performance of the season. And they dial it up for one more possession here.
This has to be deep by Hairolahu. And he boots it right to the goal line. Langford looking for a block, looking for a return. Great tackle from behind. So Tyrese Beverett with the special teams tackle, and how many times have we seen this play out? Mike Riley leading a team to victory. Down 1. Needs to put it down near the 40-yard line. Sergio Castillo has plenty of leg. Longest is 52, so the 45. Need at least a point to tie to go to overtime. Riley's done it before, 25 times. Fourth quarter drives. Going deep and caught by Brian Burnham.
Burnham's been a monster tonight.
He has been sensational. Now, clock ticks to 47, and they are only a few yards away from Castillo time. What you'd like to do if you're the Lions, get it down to near the 30. If Castillo still misses,
you kick it through.
You can kick it through. Oh no, that's it. Richard Leonard's going to seal it. The Hamilton Tiger Cats will hang on. Comeback complete.
Tip ball, Simone Lawrence got a piece of that one.
Simone Lawrence back after missing 2 games because of suspension. Tipped it. Leonard seals it.
There you get a look. Lawrence is coming on the blitz. Sees it. before he gets engaged with the blocker and has a chance to react.
That will do it like a frisbee. Leonard with the interception. 2 picks that will go on Mike Riley's ledger tonight, but off of tips.
Yeah, both deflected balls.
And Dane Evans is going to hang on.
What's up? What's up, Dad? I'm back.
Mike Riley and the Lions. The losing continues. They cannot win. And now Tempers.
I love making big plays.
Lions will lose 4 in a row. Will be 1-7 in this game. Was in the palm of their hands in the 4th quarter.
Well, they had done such a good job of controlling the ball, keeping it away from the Tiger Cats. 2 fourth-quarter turnovers proved to be their undoing. The decision, remember, with about 7 minutes to go, the debate.
Go or not.
Yeah,
on the
kicking
field goal.
the field goal or not proves to be the right decision for Orlando Steinauer.
Smiles here for Orlando. Hamilton Tiger Cats come all the way back, down 15 points. The frustrations will continue for the BC Lions. Neal down there, and Peters coming from the side.
And Chris Edwards on the previous one, and I think what you're seeing from the BC Lions at 1-7, and with a couple of heartbreaking losses along the way. You think about the Calgary game that got away.
It's a meltdown.
Late, this game that got away late. Frustration.
Yeah.
It's purely frustration.
So now, don't mark anything in yet. Even though that looked like it was signed and sealed. So Liram Hairola, who's going to try to boot this, I am sure, nowhere near Ryan Langford. Riley had his helmet off, thinking this is completely over. There might be a chance, although they'll bring this clock all the way down to about 8 seconds. Hairola, who is going to boot it. Oh, it will go to Langford, who's going to boot it back.
He's the only one that can get it. He's the only BC Lion.
And that's what he's doing. No way. Look at this. Ryan Langford trying to do it all himself. Now it's pitched back, and they had to kick it. And a bizarre finish to a crazy 4th quarter. Dane Evans has his first on a Hall of Fame night. We had a hell of a 4th quarter. There are flags.
17 was the kicker, recovered the ball. Therefore, there are no yards. This game is ended.
This game finishes with Dane Evans and the Hamilton Tiger Cats somehow clawing back. There is a scrap on the field now. Hopefully, tempers will subside. Lions struggles continue. Nissan Titan, player of the game. I think we had a waffle a few ways back and forth. No doubt, Dane Evans, first W.
Yeah, as he collects that first win, very well deserved. Some clutch plays. Great kip up. Evans 23 of 32. Couple of touchdowns, took care of the football. Dane Evans is our Nissan Titan player of the game.
His first win. Cats go to 6-2, matching the Winnipeg Blue Bombers' best records in the CFL. Lions now 1-7. Great receiver class honored